everybody. Welcome to the Fandom Post radio podcast. I am your host, Kate, and joining me this week, we have Kestrel.
Hello.
And Cain.
Hello.
And DJ.
Hello, everyone.
And special guest joining us, Brendan.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
You are very welcome to be here. Yeah, I'm like, English. How does English work?
Oh, no.
You are here.
You have been eliminated.
You're here.
I couldn't tell if that was going to be a welcome or something vaguely intimidating.
You are on thin ice, sir.
I'm glad to be here and talk about this stacked season of anime.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Is anybody else here?
No, it's just the usual crew and a new person. Yay. New blood. I don't have to talk this episode. Woo. I'm psyched. But first...
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. No pressure at all. Trust me. You can probably pronounce things, which is something I cannot do. Let's see. Yeah. I guess we should start with the news, because we had a lot of news because we haven't recorded...
since January.
Well...
We haven't.
Not quite true. Yeah, well, yes.
We haven't talked about news since January. Yes, None of you have recorded since January. These are all true statements.
Yes, this is true. This is very true. Yeah, Kestrel, what do you got?
Yeah, so I got lots of news. We'll see what we get through. So, last, I don't know how many, a bunch of episodes where we've talked about news, we've had some new record that the Demon Slayer movie was setting in box office gross, specifically some new #1 spot that it took. So last time it was that it became the highest grossing Japanese film of all time, which I expected to be the last of those. And that was mostly true. However, since that time, several sources have reported the same thing. So apparently they didn't agree that it was #1 yet. Now they all do. Additionally, it kind of artificially got a number 1 on another list, which is that it got its MPAA rating, because it's going to be coming to US theaters, and it got rated R. And so it immediately became the highest grossing R-rated anime film of all time by a 3-to-1 ratio with the previous #1. And that was before it had ever shown in a theater in the country to which the R rating belongs to, which I find very amusing. And yeah, I think it got a short theatrical run in Florida for its Oscar qualification, which obviously did not get the nomination. I don't think anyone was expecting it to. But it is also coming to a somewhat wider theater base in, it's going to be 1 week from now that the listing goes up, and then 2 weeks from then that it will be starting. So see what the state of the country is at that point, what the state of theaters are, and if it makes sense to go to a theater in 3 weeks. But anyway, so that's the news on the movie. However, now that it has, achieved every box office record that it possibly could, the next obvious piece of news that everyone was waiting for was the announcement of more of the series, or more movies, I suppose it could be. And we got that. So, new TV series coming by the end of the year.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Nice. Gotta watch season 1.
Still UFO table, correct?
Yep, same everything, I believe.
We good.
Mappa.
Just give Mappa
the Mappa take
Sure.
over.
I'll take it.
The movie covers like a whole segment of the manga, right? Like a whole story arc, so they're just gonna jump off of that into the second season of the show? Or are we gonna have like a weird DB Super situation where they try to cover the movies really quickly and poorly?
No, they did announce that this new season would be the arc after the one covered in the movie. That's a good question.
Ah, good. That's the way it should be. I don't like how DB Super did that. It's like, just watch the movie.
Right. Yeah, and we could have ended up in an awkward situation. Maybe some people still will, depending on how they like to watch movies. But where we could be getting like the new season simulcast before we were able to actually see the movie that came before it. But even if you don't see it in theaters, it will be available digitally, I'm guessing, for like purchase or rental in June. So hopefully the Blu-ray will be not too long after that. I forget when it's getting released in Japan, but it is like up for pre-order and stuff, so it has a date and everything. And they've been pretty quick about turnaround times for those movies for both Aniplex and Funimation. So hopefully, I'm guessing the second season will be fall. So hopefully the Blu-ray is out by then and everything. But yeah, that's the deal.
What's the previous R-rated movie? Ghost in the Shell?
No. So looking at this, it makes me realize how there are like no R-rated animated films, because let's look at these highest grossing for a second.
Or is it like Demon City and like Shinjuku and those like heavy late 90s, which I don't even think got a theater run. So I don't know. Yeah, surprise me.
Yeah, so
heavy metal.
The second highest rated R-rated animated film of all time was Sausage Party.
I forgot that was a thing that existed.
Oh my fucking god, no way.
Totally an anime.
I am glad that was dethroned.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Just to give you an idea of how few high-grossing R-rated animated films there are, this new number one, which has not premiered in America yet, other than a short Florida run for Oscar qualification, the Demon Slayer movie, immediately took this spot with over 3 times the gross of Sausage Party, which had nearly twice the gross of the one below it, which was South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, which had nearly 4 times the gross of the one under it, which was Pink Floyd The Wall, which had nearly double the one immediately below it, which was Waltz with Bashir.
So what you're saying is there are only 3 R-rated animated films that have ever made money.
Essentially, yeah. So the Demon Slayer one, before it has gotten to most countries where it would make more money, has an over $423 million gross. By the way, I believe we established that 20,000 of that went to the actual creator.
Such horseshit.
He's such horseshit.
Also, real quick, Waltz with Bashir is super good if you haven't seen it.
Okay.
I think it's rotoscoped, but yeah, it's very, very good.
I have a feeling a lot of like R-rated animated movies are rotoscoped.
Well, they're either rotoscoped or weird 1970s experiments like Fritz the Cat.
Yeah, exactly, and a lot of that stuff was rotoscoped, and that's when a lot of that shit came out. Like, when I think R-rated, like, animated movies, I think, like, weird shit from the 70s and early 80s.
Yeah, right under Waltz with Bashir is A Scanner Darkly, which is, of course, also rotoscoped.
That movie fucking rules, too.
So that means Akira did not get a R rating when it came out?
No, I'm guessing it was just, like, unrated or something.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, so Demon Slayer movie, $423 million. Sausage Party, $140 million. South Park, $83 million. Pink Floyd The Wall, $22 million. Waltz with Bashir, $11 million. So it drops real quick. From 1 to 5, it's 423 to 11. Yeah, it's crazy.
Explicit weebs win the day.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about Cool World, but did you know that got a PG-13 rating?
What? You know what that is?
Yeah, Cool World has it's like a more adult version Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, basically.
It has
garbage.
Brad Pitt in it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's Brad Pitt and it's kind of garbage. So
yeah, before he got big. Like, this is around the same time I think he did 12 Monkeys and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I thought that got an R rating. No, that's a PG-13, which fucks with me.
I think it also doesn't count the hybrid films in that ranking.
True. Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, Demon Slayer on fire as always. Next piece of news. Let's see, how long did we waste on that? Yeah, not that bad. Knowing us. So next piece of news. By the way, we're in like mid-February still with when these things were announced. So after 10 years, the Horimiya manga, which has recently got an anime adaptation, will be ending. It might have just ended, actually. I believe it did.
I think it did.
Yeah.
Sad day.
I mean, it's good for things to have endings, and it's interesting how often it happens that something runs for like 10 years, and then as soon as it gets an anime, it ends.
That happens all the time, and I hate it.
I think it's because, if that's when they're like, okay, we're ready to make the deal, the thing's over.
Yeah, I get worried anytime, something that's been around for a while gets animated, because I'm like, oh, now it's gonna be over. This is that's the sign.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I know that because it's based off of a web comic originally. I know that the web comic wrapped the story up a while ago, and the manga was just kind of doing its own thing for a while. So it was probably waiting to get that animation announced, and then they're like, yeah, okay, wrap it up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So.
Yep. All right, next piece of news. In the long string of anime live-action adaptations that may or may not ever happen, we add Hellsing. Apparently, Amazon Studios is launching a live-action Hellsing adaptation with the writer of John Wick. So we'll see if that ever happens.
That'd be a weird one. Because there's so much insane shit that happens in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's edgy for... Yeah.
I would really endorse this movie being just campy as hell. I'd be all about it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like grabbing the John Wick directors, going right down that alley they need to, so...
Yeah. It's the writer. I don't think the director's been announced yet, but yeah, same deal. Yeah, so we'll stay updated on if anything ever develops with that. We'll see if we're getting those Cowboy Bebop and One Piece ones that are apparently making progress.
Didn't they apparently finish the Cowboy Bebop one? I thought they said they're done.
They wrapped shooting, supposedly, for Cowboy Bebop, and there are rumors about a cast for One Piece, but I don't know how true they are, because it was on one, sketchy, sort of sketchy, listing, casting, whatever, sheet, website. And, but both of them are making progress, and people have seen them shooting stuff out in the open, and Cowboy Bebop is supposedly wrapped, and, second season of The Witcher supposedly wrapped.
Oh, yeah.
Did it? I didn't hear that.
It was
today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Henry Cavill put up a picture of himself as in the armor. I was like,
I was talking about that yesterday. I want more immediately.
I love that, man.
Agreed. I can't wait for Bebop to be released and it has a full 1990s nu metal soundtrack.
Oh no.
So it's just corn and shit.
Oh yeah,
that.
give me some ICP.
oh, that would be so bad.
Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit.
It's Bizkit.
Get
it right.
I'm sorry.
You gotta hit that Z really hard.
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
As long as they throw in some ska, I think we'll be good.
Ska.
Oh my god.
Ska. I could roll with a Bebop ska soundtrack. That'd be so random. Both of those are so far outside what I think of Cowboy Bebop music.
At least ska is listenable. I don't think it's been legal to play Limp Bizkit since 2001.
Yes.
Yo, why are you hating on Fred Durst like that?
Oh, why aren't you? Is the question.
Yeah. All right. Next piece of news. A long-awaited sequel after 8 years. The Devil is a Part-Timer. The Devil is a Part-Timer is getting a second season.
Woo!
Yeah.
The novels for this already ended. So now, long after the fact, we're getting more of this, which is great.
Has it been that long? How long has it been since they ended?
I feel like it has.
The novels ended in August, I think, of last year.
Oh, then not that long.
No, but it was just far enough out the window that I'm oh, they're never revisiting this, whatever. People were mad with the ending because their couple match didn't get picked, or people were pissed. I don't know.
People are always
that's
mad.
classic.
Yeah, that's classic. I read it and I was like, oh, good. But the I'm stoked. Animation style's changed a little bit. Obviously, it's been a hot minute.
Yeah, I don't think they've even confirmed who the studio is, if it's still White Fox or someone else.
Yeah, it's probably somebody else, but who knows? I don't know. I'm stoked.
Yeah. Mighty Steed Doulahan, ready for his return.
Oh, yeah.
It's been so long since I've seen it, I forget almost everything about it.
I feel like you don't need to remember that much.
Yeah, I mean, and if you do, you can just go back and rewatch the first season because it wasn't that long anyway.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing I really remember from it is when the main character guy did a good job selling those pepper fries.
That's all that matters, man. That's all that matters.
That's it. That's all I remember is that he worked really hard to sell those goddamn black pepper fries, and he did it. Yeah. So I guess that must be the whole linchpin of the series, if I remembered it.
I mean, it's the linchpin of his life.
I thought the show was gonna be stuck in like no season 2, like purgatory. It was up there with like No Game No Life season 2. It was like one of the ones that everyone always brought up. 2. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But now I guess
Spice and Wolf.
More hope.
Maybe we can get Spice and Wolf now.
Both No Game No Life and Nozaki are more recent than this still, so you never know.
Yeah.
I think Hellgirl was like 10 years between season 3 and season 4.
Yeah, it happens occasionally.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching Seiyuki a couple years ago.
Seiyuki was another big example, yeah.
Every time we get another season of The Eccentric Family, although that was because they were waiting for another novel to adapt, but... Yeah,
and that wasn't quite as long, because I think the first season of that was 2013, if I remember correctly, yeah.
But they want to make a third season, so if the guy ever writes the third novel, the animators want to come back and do the third season to finish it out, so...
Mm-hmm.
I hope they do.
Alright. Next piece of news. Speaking of will it ever happen, Hayao Miyazaki, now 80 years old, is apparently halfway done with the animation on his most recent out-of-retirement final film ever.
I was ready for you to say he announced his retirement.
And he announced his retirement. Now, the day this movie gets released, he will announce his retirement. And then
he'll make another movie next year.
Yes. Well, not next year because...
Well, not next year. Yeah, whenever it's done.
20 years later. Because this one will, I think at the earliest, be out 10 years after his previous movie. Suzuki actually said he doesn't expect it for another 3 years, so that would be 11 years after his previous final movie ever. And also that Studio Ghibli has another film in the works. Hopefully it is not anything like Earwig and the Witch, which is...
That looked very bad.
It is
bad. I was gonna ask, how was that?
It is unbelievably bad, yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna subject myself to that.
Yeah.
I was wondering how Hayao Miyazaki must feel just like looking at that and like knowing it came from his family.
I feel so bad for Goro Miyazaki, dude. Like, imagine like trying to follow in your legendary father's footsteps. You put out your first
and then
movie.
You make fucking Earwig and the Witch.
Yeah, but even like Tales from Earthsea, he's like, I'm glad he got to make that movie because now he doesn't ever have to make a movie ever again. Like, but he kept trying.
I mean, he made one good movie, so he's got that.
I like From Up on Poppy Hill.
Yeah, that movie was fine. Everything else he's done is garbage, and his father says that it's garbage, and he's garbage, and he should feel bad.
I feel bad for him too.
God.
Yes.
He is a bad anime dad.
Yes,
he really is. I mean, we don't do him any favors. I was scrolling through my Google News feed the other day and saw an article from like one of the bigger websites, and all its title was "How Goro Miyazaki Destroyed His Own Legacy," and I was like, "Oh my god, leave the man alone."
I mean, he has made by far the worst 2 to 3 productions under Ghibli. I haven't seen his CG series, but I haven't heard good things about it. But certainly the worst 2 movies of Ghibli's output by far.
Yeah, but at least he hasn't indirectly caused the death of anybody.
Oh yeah, I mean, as a person,
so there's that.
As a person, Miyazaki and Takahata are much worse. But yeah, for his creative output, he kind of deserves it a little bit. He probably doesn't deserve the hatred from his father, but what do you expect? It's Miyazaki.
From Up on Poppy Hill is good too. I agree. Mm-hmm. Emily and I watched that for the first time. I didn't like the ending a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Not the ending that happened, but the order of events of the ending.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a fine movie. I liked it. So
the main theme song was really
good. Had an old ass French historical building that we lived in and did shit in. That'd be cool as hell. But we didn't. We just had asbestos in the ceiling.
They were soot sprites.
They were just murderers.
Lord. Oh.
Sorry, Brandon. Were you saying something?
Oh no, I was just like on top of that saying I really liked the theme song for Up on Poppy Hill. I liked it so much that I found like a 45 vinyl in like California and I had it sent to me because I liked the song so much.
Nice.
I
can't remember the theme song of From Up on Poppy Hill. All I know is that every time I hear the title, the Gorillaz song Up on Melancholy Hill plays in my head.
Boop, boop,
boop. It's a good song.
They're the same song.
I was disappointed when I saw From Up on Poppy Hill and that was not the theme song.
Yeah. We'll let her grade lower.
Kate, did you have something?
That witch movie
Uh-huh.
really pissed me off because every time I heard the title of it, I kept thinking about the movie that has a similar title with a very, 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 very different plot line.
I don't know what movie you're
I don't know what you're talking about. Is it
The Witch or which one?
Is it another anime movie or is this like
no? It's not. It's totally in a completely different other.
Are you talking about Hedwig and the Angry Inch?
Yes.
There we go.
I'm all like,
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
It took me a moment. Yeah,
but it's like right there, and I'm like, I can't disassociate those two names from each other.
That's still not as bad as let me see if I can get them right. So the anime that aired, I guess 2 seasons ago now, Sleepy Princess in the Demon Castle.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
The first Dragon Ball movie, Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle.
Damn, those. You could probably sue over those 2 titles if you really wanted to.
The Japanese titles probably are less similar, I would guess. Which is probably why it hasn't been an issue. But Funimation has them both in the US, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Nope, yeah. Nobody cares.
Nope.
All right.
In related but sad news.
Yeah, so speaking of Miyazaki, one of his initial mentors who really taught him a lot of what he used to create his career, Yasuo Otsuka, has passed away at age 89. Not only did he mentor both Miyazaki and Takahata at several studios, both Toei and TMS, whatever it was called at the time, but while at TMS, he was one of the main forces in getting the Lupin anime started, and he had stayed with the franchise for longer than pretty much anyone who was on the original staff. He was responsible for replacing the original director with Miyazaki and Takahata, which directly led into Miyazaki getting his first film directing job with Castle of Cagliostro, which Otsuka was still, I think, character designer and animation director on. He continued working on Lupin anime until, I think, 2007, and he was also pretty important in the founding of Studio Ghibli. Suzuki announced this to the world, basically, while receiving, like, some achievement award, and said that they would be nowhere without him. And, yeah, he worked with them in the early days some, and Miyazaki still credits him as, like, his most important mentor throughout all the years. So, yeah, not a household name, but probably some of the household names that do exist in the industry wouldn't be in the state that they are without him. So sad to see him go. Yeah, rest in peace.
I had a excerpt I pulled from so I recently picked up the Miyazaki's Starting Point book, which is like a collection of his like memoirs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a section that was about Otsuka, and I thought it was really interesting because the story was basically about them drinking after wrapping up a production, and then Otsuka like drunkenly driving his car into a ditch and getting it stuck there. And the car that he has is the Fiat, which is like the trademark Lupin car and like what it's all based off of. But reading that little excerpt was just like, it seemed like out of all the things Miyazaki could have talked about, he talked about it's like a time palling around with his mentor, and I thought that was really sweet. But I just wanted to quote one of the last lines that he says about Otsuka. Let's see. He says, "It was Otsuka who taught me the fun of working. We were all young and overflowing with ambition and hope. Those days were truly the time of youth when we set out on this path." I thought that quote was really heartfelt, and I was pretty bummed out on that day. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a good quote. I think, is it true that Lupin only has a Fiat because of Otsuka?
I could believe that. I know
That's
that he like had a fascination
Right.
with sports cars, which is like why.
Yeah, because Lupin originally drove a Mercedes in the first season of the series. The Fiat
Right,
was
exactly.
actually first seen in Castle of Cagliostro, and then it became his car afterwards. But any Lupin property before that, if I recall correctly, he was driving a Mercedes sports car.
Yeah, that's right.
With a fun trivia fact, I think it's the same model that Hitler drove.
Oh,
Jeez. Great.
Yeah.
I could believe the lore that he like stole it from the Nazis or something. I
believe that. Yeah, I don't think they ever like address the car in any way, shape, or form, but I would definitely believe that he drives it around as like a trophy, especially because Lupin's had several run-ins with Nazis.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
especially with the new movie that came out, the first, that's all about fucking punching Nazis in the face.
Oh hell yeah! I picked up the
Classic
Blu-ray, but I
pastime.
still haven't watched it.
It's good. It's good. My wife and I watched it a little while ago. The dub is pretty good too. There's some lip flap stuff that's kind of weird, especially with Lupin.
Is it
That's
just
really
harder
noticeable.
because of the like new CGI look?
I think,
Yeah.
but other characters don't have that same problem.
Oh.
It really sticks out with Lupin, so it might be more of a like the script translation kind of thing. Because other characters don't have nearly the same problem, but then Lupin also talks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
it could be various factors, but it is good, and the CGI is like super faithful to the original art style as well, which is refreshing because they didn't try to like change him because of CGI. They did a good job sticking to Monkey Punch's like original designs. But yeah, worth a watch. Nazis get punched.
Nice.
Yeah, so circling back on the Fiat, according to Fiat, Yasuo Otsuka was the first person in Japan to have purchased the Fiat 500. His car was used as a base for the animators during the Castle of Cagliostro and the Fuma conspiracy as it was parked outside of the studio. Another fun fact, he was responsible for the green jacket.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Alright, so next piece of news. Oh boy, this is one that we could talk about for a long time with no expertise on the matter whatsoever. So a while ago, we talked about how Funimation was going to acquire Crunchyroll. Now the U.S. Justice Department has extended an antitrust review of that proposed acquisition. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Say your thoughts.
It's understandable. I don't know a whole lot either, but there is a point where you turn into a monopoly or a duopoly after a certain point, which is not good in any like circumstances for how the American system works. So I don't know enough about it, but this doesn't surprise me because they were buying up everything. So now who knows how much the justice system really cares because it's anime and not like cell phone, networks or Disney,
yeah,
which is too big to fail at this point. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. I had thought about it briefly when it was announced because I think we even joked about it. It was like they're just buying everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, definitely when that was announced, we were like, they have an effective monopoly in this corner of the market if this goes through.
Yeah, so this shouldn't surprise anybody at all. Now it just turns into, do they really care all that much?
My favorite part was that Sony was like, no, we have competitors. Have you heard of High Dive? They're real big. They're a real threat to us. Don't worry.
They have almost 0.1% of the market share. That's enormous.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't even think it's that much.
Probably not.
I was trying to be generous.
My reaction was, I'm surprised that they did care enough to check, because they haven't been stopping literally anything else, and this is the thing they decide to review? Maybe it's because there's a new administration in power now, but I was like, what, okay. Just gonna let everything else go through, but this is what you stop?
Maybe there is some weebs in Washington.
That's the only thing, that was what me and, like, a bunch of the people were like, oh shit, somebody there's pissed off about something. Yeah, it's strange. Like, or, I don't know, Sony's checked in and clear? I don't fucking know. That's my only thought.
I imagine this will be something that we probably don't hear about for a while or ever again, I would reckon, unless they like come down hard.
Sony will either wait out the 6 months and the deal will still go through, because AT&T wants their money, or they will actually put a stop to it, and then AT&T will have to find a different buyer for Crunchyroll, for better or worse.
Yeah.
It'll certainly be interesting.
It's hard to know anything about the legal side of it, but I will just say best of luck to all the employees who know that they're going to be on the chopping block soon.
For sure. Yeah, I don't envy that position.
I don't think I envy anybody that's ever worked at Crunchyroll, because I imagine all you get is hate.
I mean, I feel like in terms of working there, I've heard worse things about working at Funimation, but negative things about working at both. But there are a lot of people who, have positive things to say too, so I'm sure it's just your normal corporate balance. Also, I heard that Miles is no longer at Crunchyroll, which is surprising.
Yeah, happened pretty recently.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on there. By the way, something that we're not discussing, for the past few years, we would have an episode after the Anime Awards and go through all those in great detail. But since none of us have talked since January, obviously we're not doing that. But let me tell you, if you read the results rather than watching the broadcast, you are lucky, because it is just getting more and more cringy every year.
God, what happened this time?
So,
I mean, to me, that sounds like I should watch this because I love con cringe.
Oh God, I hate it.
God.
It's the worst kind.
So, they have their, like, I'm trying to be quick about this. They have their Crunchyroll Hime mascot, who they have, like, videos with Kizuna Ai and stuff.
I don't like where this is going already.
So, their host guy, Tim, who is an entertaining enough character in person at times, got isekai'd into this, I don't know, VTuber world, I guess. And, they have an established model for Crunchyroll Hime. She looks alright. He looks, I don't want to say that he got isekai'd into X-Arm, but he didn't look great. So there was that going on. There was just a lot of cringe involved in all of the writing and acting in their interactions. And all of the like presentations. So there was nothing done with like real people in real life. Like obviously there wasn't a big crowd of people, but there literally weren't humans. Nothing was recorded live. It was all pre-recorded. And like the announcements of winners weren't even read by the people. It was just like, you know how some award shows for the nominations, they'll have a pre-recorded thing that's like a generic pleasant voice going through the nominations. So for the winner, they didn't have like any envelope opening, any drum roll lead up, anything. They just went through like half the categories. They just read all the nominations, and the winner is this. And they just went through all of those with no like reactions to them or anything.
What the fuck are they doing?
It was so bad. Anyway.
What's the point?
We need our own.
What's the point?
They should just release their shit like the NFL Pro Bowl team, which is just a fucking blog post on the website.
Yeah, exactly. Just reading it was much
form
better.
The Anime Academy,
Mm-hmm.
and like,
no.
like we have to become the people that will speak for the people because the people clearly can't.
Yeah.
We need a standard.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
And then 20 years from now, we will refuse to watch anything that we.
My kid liked this
pick
one.
The ones that we hear about.
Yeah. Yeah, when I said, they keep getting worse every year, like, I didn't watch the first one. For all I know, it was literally the Oscars. Because then the next year, they had, like, they rented out some venue and had some, like, real show put on with an audience and everything. And the year after that, they had, like, a live stream where they would cut back and forth between, like, Christina V was presenting with a bunch of guests. They had, like, I think that was the one year Kevin Penkin wasn't nominated, so he was, like, a guest. They had a bunch of other industry people, a lot of YouTubers. They love their YouTubers. And then the year after that, they had just kind of like this one little consolidated ceremony where they had like some athlete or wrestler or something presenting it. He did a decent job. It was all fine until this guy, Tim, showed his otaku rap video,
fucking Tim,
which was the cringiest thing. It might still be the single cringiest like 5 minutes I've sat through in the past, I don't know, 5 years. But that was enough to make up for the otherwise, competent presentation. And then this one was just like completely worthless all the way through. So next year, boy, I can't wait to see what happens.
Oh boy.
Man, that sounds like an incredible time.
As a segue, the winner of Anime of the Year was my pick of their nominees, which was Jujutsu Kaisen, which should not really surprise anyone. And that ended a week ago today, I believe. And with that ending, a film was announced for the Jujutsu Kaisen 0 prequel manga. So yeah, that's cool. It's a good show, as we'll talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about it. I don't know if are we done with the news now? Is this a segue? Is that what's happening?
No,
Nope.
I'm just saying we'll talk about it later.
Okay. I wasn't sure like where we were going with this, so we'll talk more about it.
Yeah,
It's a segue into more news.
it is a segue into the next news article, which is another phenomenal MAPPA show that just ended in the past week and had an announcement of more with that ending, which is, of course, Attack on Titan final season, which we'll certainly be talking about. As we have known basically all along, this was only going to be the first half of the final season, just like season 3 was split in between 2 years. So we got the announcement when it ended that more will be coming starting in winter 2022. By my calculations of its adaptation rate, I expect 13 or 14 episodes for the conclusion.
Okay.
The manga will be ending in, I think, a week, maybe a little bit less now.
The leaks are going to start coming. The leaks are probably going to start coming the next couple
For sure,
days.
yeah. Which I'm glad that I've been
That's
very
scary.
successful at avoiding spoilers, even of things just released in the manga in general, throughout most of Attack on Titan. So yeah, as long as I can keep that up through this final season, I'll be good. But yeah, so if it is a slightly longer, like this one with the 16 episodes, a slightly longer season, I could see it starting in late December again. So yeah, probably either late December or early January for the final batch of Attack on Titan, and I would guess it'll wrap up around this time next year. Yeah. Another piece of news, license announcement for something that had gone unlicensed for a couple of years, is Dororo was picked up by Sentai, which really shouldn't come as much of a surprise to people who have been following Sentai's recent acquisitions, because they've been picking up pretty much everything that like Amazon Prime had the exclusive simulcast rights to, especially the Twin Engine stuff that includes Dororo, and hopefully something that they'll be announcing in the next few months, Vinland Saga, fingers crossed. Yeah, so they've been pretty much grabbing all of those, and also, so they're going to be dubbing this, which, all of these Amazon shows were never dubbed before, so that's fine. However, they're also picking up a lot of Netflix exclusive anime, which had LA dubs that were apparently too expensive for Sentai to license, so they're just replacing them with their own Houston dubs, which is super weird. So that happened with Baki and Hero Mask, and I think one other they just announced. Very strange.
Yeah, I got the email about pre-ordering the Dororo Blu-ray the other day.
You sound disappointed.
Yep. Because they were like, oh, you could save money if you pre-order it now. I was like, oh, cool. Oh, great. So I can spend $70 on this fucking show, and all I get is a plain-ass Blu-ray case with some half-decent art and then clean openings and closings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad...
Like, I'm not surprised. I'm not going to be like, they should put more, because that's just not what those pieces of shit do.
No, but, whoa. Hold on. Whoa. Sentai has been releasing some of the nicest premium box sets in the industry for many years now.
I'm not talking premium box sets. I'm talking just something decent in the normal release for someone who doesn't want to drop $170 for a 13-episode premium chipboard set. Like,
now, just a reminder...
At least give me some storyboards or something, for God's sake.
Just a reminder, in like a year, Sentai will have a sale where this $70 set will be $5, and if it had a premium box set for $170, it would be $10.
That does not soothe my anger.
Just wait, Cain. It'll be ridiculously cheap.
It always makes me mad every time I see it. It always makes me really fucking mad.
I mean, it's a lot better than Aniplex.
Especially because they present it to me like I'm saving money when you're still making me spend if I'm going to buy it, which I won't. But for the people who do, $70 for 13 episodes of a show or whatever, like, it's just not it's not great. I don't like it. I've never liked it.
Man, we're so spoiled.
Yeah, I'm over here making old lady noises at that statement because, man...
Well, you can't compare now to then either, because we're spoiled in every single way possible, because we can stream as much anime as we want from everything.
You can compare now to literally every other region.
VHSs in the 80s.
I'm not even talking about the 80s, man. This was like 2008 and stuff. We were still paying $30 for 4 episodes.
Or 2021, where you pay $70 for the first episode of the anime that comes out in Japan, where they actually rely on all their profits, and even those aren't nearly enough for the animators to actually be able to afford housing or food.
Yo, they get destroyed over there too. I'm mad about that too. But I'm talking exclusively.
Also,
like,
Aniplex,
market.
Aniplex in the US, like, Sentai can't compare.
Yeah, just to get back to the standard release things though, like the Sentai standard releases they're about the same price as the Funimation ones. Like, I'm looking at the Railgun Funimation set right now that Funimation just came out with, and that's like $65.
Yeah, they're pretty close.
For 12 episodes.
Yeah.
So,
and if anything, with Sentai, you can be certain that you'll be able to get it for a ridiculously low amount in the next year or two.
Sentai's, they're like my go-to for buying anime. Like, I have more Sentai releases than probably anything else just because they're normally the most affordable.
I mean, I think this is why I've completely transitioned over to just buying anime movies now, because I'm okay with paying, $20-25 or whatever for like a whole movie, because I'm getting a whole story rather than, what like buying an anime TV series is. And I know it's worse in Japan. It's way worse in Japan. But at least over here, I haven't bought an actual anime TV series since I got the Megalobox set in the Right Stuff sale, because it was like $13 or whatever. But I just I can't buy TV like series on Blu-ray anymore because people think that like Criterion movies are expensive. Well, look at anime. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. It's so, and you guys all buy stuff all the time, so of course you're gonna look at me and be like, it's not ridiculous at all, because I own 60 bookshelves full of Sword Art Online stuff. But
hey, I sold all that.
When you're trying to be frugal and also like buy Blu-rays of anime, like even a couple, it's really like it feels like you're in an inner conflict with yourself.
Yeah. That's why I always waited for the sales, because it was like, Sentai releases it. All right, this is a fucking normal price, but in 6 months I can get it for $5.
Right, exactly.
So then why don't they just sell it at a closer price to that all the time?
Because they're trying to make money.
Yeah, they're trying to make money. Exactly. It's the stuff that doesn't sell quickly enough that ends up on those sales for that much.
Like, anime barely makes money in general.
Exactly.
So it's I get it.
Yeah, it's super frustrating because with the nice stuff like the Criterion and Arrow films and all that shit, I know we're comparing two different industries, but when you pay the $40, if you even pay full MSRP for a Criterion or Arrow film, you also get like shitloads of special features, like commentaries, documentaries, radio interviews, commercials, storyboards.
Criterion releases are definitely worth it.
And then I look at a Sentai release and it's like clean opening.
Yeah, I mean,
cool.
Trailers for other Sentai.
Exactly. It comes down to yeah.
You go ahead. I'm just seething about it.
Just stewing over there.
Yeah,
I understand the rage. I too feel the rage at times.
Yeah, I mean, so in addition to what we've already brought up about the Japanese market and all that, obviously it's all just economy of scale. The anime industry, every anime industry in every country is just barely making money, unless it's like the Demon Slayer movie. But the other 99%, they just barely are scraping by. Maybe they take a loss on a huge production. And that is with the prices that exist. The prices in America, about a fifth to a tenth of their equivalents in Japan. And you get, the whole thing at once. You get it in Japanese and English subtitles. You're talking about having a complete story, and that's a perspective on it. And for extras, a lot of people don't care about extras. If you're breaking it down by content, dollar per minute, you probably make out better with a series than a movie anyway. It's just there's more minutes, so you got to pay more dollars.
Yeah, I mean, that whole side of it is more business than anything. It's like, where can we shave so that we can get them the product they want without us having to do more than we need to, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then the extras are they'll get whatever they can license from Japan. Not everyone is discotheque and is gonna dig through the annals of history to uncover everything that ever existed for the perfect Criterion-ish release. For the most part, Japan, remember as well, Japan doesn't want the American releases to be that good because we have the same region as them, and our releases give them the same content for a fifth to a tenth of the price. So the reverse importation fears have, resulted in a lot of really bad practices. The primary compromise has been locked subtitles, which doesn't upset as many people. But yeah, I mean, that's a serious issue. The creators and master rights holders of these properties aren't that incentivized for the American market to have the best release possible. Also, you have to remember that I know you don't want to hear this, Cain. I don't want to either, but it's 2021. Physical releases are not the primary way that they're selling these properties, and that the vast majority of the audience is going to be watching them. And we all get to watch it all for effectively free. We pay our, $60 a year or whatever to watch more content than we could ever consume.
Well, unless what you want to watch is on 6 separate streaming services.
Yeah, it's...
So are you saying Monopoly good?
In some sense, yeah.
In some sense, yeah, because it's all under one service. Like, Monopoly is bad in a lot of ways, but Monopoly is also, in the one very strict sense, Monopoly is good because I don't have to buy Funimation service and then Crunchyroll service and then, Netflix service to watch all the anime I want to watch in a season.
But in terms of, what you're paying for the content, if you were relying on physical releases, even if it was $15 for each series, that's $15 times however many series you want to watch in a season, versus, you're paying at most, I don't know, $25 for a few services to watch, as many series as you want as soon as they air in Japan, which could be 2 series, it could be 50. So yeah, the main way to watch
pay that $15 once, and then you have that series forever.
Yes,
as well. You don't pay $15 every month, or the company comes and takes your discs away. If you stop paying the $6 a month for Crunchyroll, guess what? You're not watching anime on Crunchyroll anymore.
Yeah.
So when you come at me with those numbers, that's what I counter with. Now, the numbers will never balance out. They never will. But there's pluses and minuses to each. Yeah. Because also, it hasn't happened in anime as much, I don't think, but there are numerous cases, reported all the time of, people having their Netflix or their Amazon or whatever, and they want to watch what they want, and it's there one day and gone the next.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden, where are they going to go to watch it now? They have to buy it straight up.
Yeah.
You're at the will of the content holders to hold the content, whether it be because they own the license or they're renting the license from the company that owns it. And then the company, like what CBS did with Peacock, decides they're going to make their own. So now all your shit that was on Netflix is gone, and now you got to get Peacock to watch it.
Comcast is Peacock. CBS.
Is Comcast?
CBS is Paramount.
Yeah. Right. Paramount Plus.
Right.
That's right. Which is another new one that came out.
Yeah.
But if I paid $20 for a series, if I really like it, I would, I try to just only buy what I really, really enjoy. I have that forever until the disc breaks.
Yeah. This is
or
all
until
true.
They replace disc as common media.
Yeah.
I hope we get it on cool ass little computer chips I can just put in my brain.
Just plug it right in.
Yeah. This is all true, and I agree, and obviously I'm a huge physical media collector. I'm just saying, we have it better than we've ever had it, even for physical releases, even with them being such a low priority. They're cheaper than they've ever been, they're more complete than they've ever been. We're getting them for more than we've ever been. I think I can say that again now that all the Netflix stuff is finally being licensed. And all these exclusive Amazon shows as well. We, in the US, get nearly everything on disc, and all of it is drastically cheaper than in Japan and most other regions. So we have the second most amount of content after Japan, and the cheapest or close to the cheapest out of any region, period. So we have it very good.
We do, and everybody makes very good points. I'm still mad.
You are madder than perhaps I've ever experienced.
You're justified in that too, so no worries.
Yeah, but no, those are all super good points. I don't want to derail this any further.
Yeah, we can move on.
I just wish you got more bang for your buck, is really at the end of the day. But yeah, when you point out all that stuff, it's hard to ask for much more. But yeah, sometimes you just wish you got more than opening and closing animation.
Yeah, no, it sucks when there are no extras to speak of. It's a bummer.
Or shit, you got Silver Spoon, you didn't even get all of it. You got one season on DVD.
They released a second on DVD. They're just both like $100 for bare bones ass pieces of garbage. That's Aniplex. Yeah, all right. Next piece of news. Speaking of, I don't know, home video releases, whatever. I don't have a segue this time. So you may remember back, like, I feel like a few years ago at this point, Crunchyroll and Viz announced a partnership, and then nothing developed of it for like Viz home video releases of Crunchyroll titles. And then, you know, there was still a bunch of Funimation Crunchyroll releases coming out. They returned to Discotek releasing a bunch of their stuff. They started a partnership with Sentai to release some of their stuff. And now if, you know, this acquisition does go through, it'll probably be all back to Funimation, or at least a lot of it will be back to Funimation. However, all of a sudden, most of the Crunchyroll originals and some of their other big titles are being released by Viz. So that includes Burn the Witch, Tower of God, Jujutsu Kaisen, Inspector, God of High School. Yeah, so at this point, I guess it's kind of like how every company has their content on Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll is now releasing their content through every home media company, which is very interesting. But yeah, the Viz model is kind of license something and then do nothing with it for 5 years and then release it like once a year, which is bad, and which is why I was glad that nothing really developed out of the Viz Crunchyroll partnership. But maybe this is just a sign that it additionally took Viz, you know, however many years to even do anything with this partnership. And hopefully, you know, we don't have to wait till like 2023 to buy Jujutsu Kaisen.
I've always figured these partnerships always take a long gestation period in the first place, like to actually get, you know, stuff rolling between the two companies.
It was just that, like, within the time between announcing this partnership and anything becoming of it, they had started and gotten to the point of actually releasing content from like 2 or 3 other partnerships in that time. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Next piece of news. Let me see if I can get through news before the hour mark. So another series that just wrapped up yesterday is Yudu Camp, Laid Back Camp. And they announced a feature film to be released in 2022 for that franchise. So yeah, great series.
Hooray!
Great series.
And then probably another season after that. Hooray!
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
what
be
most
interested
of
to
the
see
talk
how
I'm
they
hearing
stretch
is.
an episode into a movie.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's
should
just gonna
be
be one big camping trip. It's gonna be awesome. Oh man.
Yeah, like when they get to those end of season camping trips, they're kind of like arcs. You know, they last a few episodes.
Yeah,
so
kinda,
I could see it
right.
happening. Yeah.
I hope Grandpa's there.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Oh my god, he's so great. I love that like they showed
is great.
4 of the fucking characters this season.
Oh, it's so good. We can talk about this after the last piece of news.
Yeah.
Last piece of news just announced today. Well, not when you're hearing this, but today as of recording. Big news for Cain, and I assume several other people.
Millions of us.
Funimation suddenly announced all of Prince of Tennis is coming in the next several months to their streaming service. I don't think they announced like Blu-ray release, but they did announce that they are giving it a new dub. I don't know if that means all of it, but I assume so. So yeah, that's a lot of content for them to sub-license.
It is. I'll keep this super short just because, I mean, you guys know how much I love Prince of Tennis, but it's really cool. The new dub is interesting, and I do hope it leads to a Blu-ray, because it would be... This is probably one of the very few exceptions I'd make. Like, even if it had no special features, I would just buy it. But I'm glad people can watch it. Like, it's a super popular seminal sports series that has all of the cute boys doing all the cute stuff all the time, and occasionally playing tennis. But yeah, it's. I wasn't expecting this at all, because I knew it was popular in Japan, but I don't really. I think it had a brief run on like Toonami or something for a little bit, but other than that, I don't think a single person gave a shit about it other than me, and maybe a select few others. But yeah, this is really cool. So I hope this leads to people watching it and appreciating it. I don't know where it sits in like the timeline of like sports shonen shows of this nature, like, you know, groups of like schoolboys and girls doing a sport and then bonding and doing a bunch of other stuff. But I feel like it's probably like pretty early and maybe like a grandfather of, you know, your haikus and stuff like you get now.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you for sure. But yeah, this is really cool news. I'll be interested to see how this dub goes, because I don't think it had a very good one in the first place.
It didn't have a very good one, and they dubbed very little of it.
Yeah, I think the Toonami got the like all of the dub, which was like a handful of the 160 or 170 episodes the regular series is, and then it has a shit ton of movies.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, hopefully a Blu-ray.
Yeah. And that is all the news I have, guys.
Very good.
Nice.
All right. Time for the main event.
Anime?
Anime. Winter season. It's over. Yay. Some of the spring shows have already started.
So much of a weight lifted off my shoulders.
This really was a jacked and stacked and yoked season.
Yeah, the season was shredded.
Nice. Thank you for carrying that with me.
Where do we even begin?
I just want to make a quick comment on Kestrel's list, which is I love the fact that Detective Conan was dropped after episode 1000.
Yeah, I figured I might as well make it to that milestone. And then, you know, it's been several hundred episodes since anything's happened, so I was like, maybe that's enough, Detective Conan.
I just noticed that note that's just dropped after episode 1000.
Before I saw what show it was, I thought he was just being facetious, and then I saw Detective Conan, and I was like, nope, this checks out.
I literally watched episode 1000 and then said, that's it.
This tracks, absolutely.
Trying to see if any of us had, like, wildly different scores for any shows, but for the most part, we're all in the same ballpark.
I mean, I would say a 7 and an F for the same show are pretty divergent.
That's true. Yeah.
Boy, yeah, that F on there, that's... too bad you couldn't make that.
Let's just talk about The Promised Neverland.
Yeah, I will mention that I invited Brandon on this episode expressly to complain about The Promised Neverland.
That's fine. Yeah.
I am honestly glad I didn't watch this second season. Like, I was really like trying to get around to it because this season was filled with so much anime I wanted to watch, and Promised Neverland just didn't make it onto the list for like completely arbitrary reasons. But I'm kind of glad I never got around to it.
Yeah, a few days ago, I was talking to my friend who had picked anime back up a lot this season and had watched most of the sequels to series he had watched before. And he was like, all my shows are over. What do I watch now? And I was like, did you watch Neverland Season 2? Nope. Good. Keep it that way. There never was a Season 2. There never will be. Bummer, huh?
So kind of like Darker Than Black.
Way worse than Darker Than Black. Like, I gave Season 1 an A minus at the lowest.
Was that your top anime that year? It was definitely top 5.
It was top
close.
5,
really
but 2019 was stacked because we had
true.
Promised Neverland, Attack on Titan, Season 3, Part 2, Demon Slayer, Vinland Saga.
That was it.
And one other huge one that was in my top 5. I can't remember now. Mob Psycho 2. Yeah, so big year 2019. But yeah, it was... You know, it was an A minus in my top, like, I don't know, 30, 35 anime of all time for sure. This one, I was being real generous, giving it a D+. I could go down to a D, maybe even D-.
Yeah.
F minus.
Yeah, double F.
For the final episode, for sure.
I feel like I chose an F because, like, I mentioned that I thought it had a good start.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it had the same staff. So, like, and the main issue with the show was the writing, but, like, the guy who does the series composition, he wrote on, like, Gatchaman Crowds and Land of the Illustrious, so it's, like, the skill is there, like, its potential is there, like, the art director worked on, like, One Punch Man and My Hero and Inuyasha and like all this stuff. Oh, High School DxD, that too. Like all the pieces were there, and
Way to
like
sneak that in.
yeah, I needed to. I didn't participate in the DxD discussion in the Slack, but I needed to just throw it in.
Fuck that show.
Okay, well, I know we mentioned it a little bit before, but I just wanted to do like a breakdown on the actual like volumes covered in season 2. So, season 1, 12 episodes, 4 volumes. It basically just wraps up the main like prison break, Grace Fieldhouse break arc. So, does that in about standard amount of like chapter per episode. Really well done. I also gave that show like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. And then we get to season 2. Episodes 1 through 3 cover about volume 5 to 6. And then they skip 4 volumes. Episode 4 covers like part of volume 12 and 13. They skip another 3 volumes. They give us a recap about nothing, because nothing's happened. And then the last 5 to 6 episodes kind of cherry pick from the last 3 volumes. So they effectively skipped the fan favorite arc aside from the first arc, which was Goldie Pond.
Yep.
And then they just still rushed an ending. I don't know what happened at all, because like I thought I could have been prepared, because when I was reading the manga, I had just finished Goldie Pond, like right around when the anime was about to air, and I'm like, I'm set to go. There's no way that this anime will rush through that arc and somehow get to stuff after that. But no, they decided, let's just skip the whole thing. And from there, it was just the downward spiral. I don't even know where to start with all the bad writing things that happened.
Yeah, and a few comments on what you said so far. Like, yeah, same staff, same studio. I mean, Cloverworks had a fucking banner season between Horimiya and Wonder Egg Priority. Great season for Cloverworks. They've been really consistent. Same main staff. The mangaka was involved in recreating this story, which is interesting. Yeah. But yeah, like, it's just so baffling. Like, not even why would you make something so bad, but why would you not want to get more out of this series that was so successful and so beloved? You did the first season absolutely perfectly. Everyone loves it. It was a big hit. Why wouldn't you get another 4 seasons out of it? Why would you try to rush it all in one? It makes no sense.
It really is mind-boggling, because you're right. The standard formula would be, let's stretch it out so that we can like sell more of it. But instead, so I don't know where the issue could have gone in pre-production, where they were like, we have to skip the next arc. Because when I saw Anime Original, I was like, okay, maybe they'll like move stuff around because mangaka was not satisfied with the ending and they want to like, I don't know, maybe reorder some stuff and like let it all pan out. But and that's you mentioned that Shirai was overseeing the script for the series until the last 2 episodes. Shirai literally strikes their name from the credits. They're like, please do not associate me with this anymore.
I did not hear that. Interesting.
Shirai, and also the person who writes, I think, the novels, was also doing some overseeing, also removed their name for the last 2 episodes.
Man, I would too. Fuck.
Yeah. So, just bad. Lots of... It just broke so many, like, cardinal rules of, like, writing a plot. Like, there was so many, like, MacGuffins where it's like, oh man, this thing in the plot's happening, what do we do about it? Oh, we're actually just going to hand you the answer, which is... The thing about the first season was it was cool that the children were, like, well developed, and all the things they did was, like, well earned, and it's like, oh yeah, they're able to, like, outsmart their mom or outsmart the crone or whoever. And in the second season, they just kind of, like, stumble around and like they end up where they end up, and it's like, oh, and now, oh, Norman's back, and oh, now we got to kill all the demons. Oh no, we got to save all. There's just no tension. Like the writing just like kept moving. They're like, plot reveal, psych, plot reveal.
Yeah, exactly.
Psych.
Because really, it was all the plot reveals from the manga, but with none of the development that led to those plot reveals. So it makes absolutely no sense out of context.
Yeah. And I'm sure people that didn't read the manga like could have found some semblance of like something decent there, but I don't know.
Yeah, so DJ, as someone who has not read any of the manga.
Okay, so it was bad.
Thank you.
Yeah. I liked it at first.
That's all you need.
I wasn't a huge fan of the first season. I liked it, but I didn't like any of the characters. I did not care at all. I thought the suspense was great, and I thought the suspense of the first few episodes of season 2 was also great. And it turned it like away from this isolated, everybody's inside this one facility thing to holy shit, the world is huge and everything is big and we're all gonna die. But after the first few episodes, I never felt worried that anyone was ever going to be harmed in any way, and it just nothing felt serious anymore, and all of the suspense from the first season just went away. I did like and spoiler alert, because I can't avoid mentioning this, I did like the demon genocide type episode just because the imagery was awesome.
The end of that one was good, yeah.
I thought just that was a super emotional episode in general, but the episodes that came after that, and even the one preceding it, I had no idea what was going on, and I did not care at all. I just wanted things to happen, and all of the things that did happen, I did not understand.
So you mentioned the genocide episode, and I think that's a perfect encapsulation of like the elements that were good about the second season. Imagine how they could have elevated it if there was stuff leading up to it.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
If it was earned at all,
I did not care about it all.
Like you said,
literally everything after the genocide episode, I just had no idea what was happening.
Yeah. Like episode 1 through 3, like you said, they expand the world. There's a lot of solid world building, beautiful like art direction. They're already setting up like major themes of like hunter be hunted, like is killing demons also bad, like that kind of thing, and like the struggle that Emma was supposed to go through in the next major manga arc, and her learning to cope with like, you know, sometimes you need to kill even though you don't want to kill. And then they're like, actually, we're going to just skip to the end, and she's still like, you know what? I need to save every single thing.
Yeah, that's another thing I forgot to mention. I'm glad you brought that up. At no point in the series do I feel like Emma ever really changed. And I'm sure her development is a lot better when you have like 10 times more material to work with, but she was just always this lawful good, never faltering, like I have to do the right thing character, and that's not cool. Like it didn't seem like there was a big inner struggle. It just always seemed like she knew what she had to do.
It's because
there was like 2 minutes where Norman has a different opinion, and she's like, wait a minute, oh, never mind. No, my idea is the right one, and this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, and then Norman's like, okay, yeah, because nobody has any time for any character development, for any nuance, anything. Yeah, and you know, I agree. I gave, you know, the first few episodes like a B+ when we last talked about this. You can scroll up just a little bit and see that. And and I was like, I don't think it's gonna get much lower than this. And here I am with being so super generous with a D+ a few episodes later.
Me for 2 months in a row. It can't get worse,
exactly.
right?
I've never seen you like miss the mark so greatly.
Like, I mean, who could expect this after such a perfect first season? Like, I never thought it could possibly get this bad. Like this, I feel like this has to be on a level beyond really anything I've experienced like this in anime. Like, it's the House of Cards, Game of Thrones equivalent, really. It's just so good, and then so bad. And even, what we're talking about with the beginning of the second season, it's so bizarre how it played out. It's like all of a sudden, like partway through the season, they decided to go this complete other direction where they just skip everything. because like the first few episodes were paced as if it was going to get 4 or 5 seasons, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, but what if we did it all in one? And because it totally like sets up Emma's dilemma, and then doesn't do anything with it because there's no time. Like, what was the point of that? They were so well paced in the first few episodes of the season.
It makes me think that maybe the people working on the show even believed like, oh, we're just doing like a minor detour kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. And then like even down the line they were told like, oh, by the way, we're trying to wrap this whole thing up, and they were like, wait, I have to do what now? I have to finish the story? Yeah,
it's like a different kind of crunch time. It's like, we need to get this whole story done by the end of the season. For whatever reason. I can't imagine what happened, but I feel like something that would be infinitely more entertaining than the second season of The Promised Neverland would be a making of the second season of The Promised Neverland.
Oh, for sure.
Which we will never get any insight into, but it would be fascinating.
Yeah.
How did this happen? How did they change course so drastically within the same season? How did they go from the creators being directly involved to not wanting their name in the credits within the same season? How does this happen in 11 episodes of a TV series?
It's so high profile, like one of Shonen Jump's most like high sellers for the last couple of years. It's like, it's mind-boggling how it goes wrong.
Yeah, and how did it get that successful? By a really popular first season that everyone loved. Just like Demon Slayer, just like Jujutsu Kaisen, none of these were hits until their anime adaptations. And then everyone else is like, oh, well, what if we just keep doing a really good job? And then Promised Neverland is like, let's just pump it out in 11 episodes and skip most of the things people liked.
Yeah. So, what do they do now? They just threw it all away. I don't even know.
Yeah, so going forward, I will always recommend that people watch The Promised Neverland, a 12-episode series with a cliffhanger ending that they'll just have to imagine what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
They'll just have to go read the manga or something.
Yeah, and it's
the opposite of what it's supposed to do.
Exactly.
It's like, set up this awesome anime cliffhanger, go read the manga. It's like, no, it's the opposite. This anime was so bad, you need to read the manga.
It could conceivably work in that situation, except that, if I knew nothing about the adaptation process of the season, I'd see a really shitty second season and be like, oh, well, maybe the manga isn't that good after all. And also, even if you did figure that, oh, they just did a really shitty adaptation, I'll go check it out in the manga, they spoil all the plot twists. They just don't give you anything that leads up to them. So, and they give you like the final episode is like this clip show of like, hey, you remember this scene from the manga, right? That means absolutely nothing to anyone just watching it.
Yeah, remember this whole volume of Emma remaking the promise and like changing the world and like going through all this stuff. We give you one picture.
Yeah, one frame. We're not even going to animate
4 seconds.
Yeah.
All right, it's time. I've been waiting for this moment so that I can take my copium and never think about the show again.
Biggest disappointment of the decade.
Yeah. All right.
What next?
Now
that you guys have gotten that all out of your system.
Yeah, something good. Let's talk about something happy. something great.
Happy?
Yeah. Talk about Yuru Camp.
Okay, yeah.
Were you going to say, yeah.
Say One Direct priority. But...
I know you, DJ. I knew where that was going.
Let's talk about Eurocamp. I'm fine with that. I will always talk about Eurocamp. That's my desktop background.
Nice.
Okay, sure. I watched that, so I can contribute at least a little bit.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
So it was a rehash of, well, not a rehash, but just more of the first season, and I have zero problems with it again.
Yeah, I still don't understand why I loved this season so much more, but it's like by far my favorite, standard cute girl Yashike.
I think I overall liked the first season more, And I am 90% sure it's just because of the soundtrack. Like, the soundtrack was very similar in season 2, but they like didn't play some of my favorite songs as much. So it's like I didn't get that same feeling inside, you know. But there were like several moments, and we talked about this I guess back in January, since we haven't recorded since then. But there were several moments where that you just got like weirdly emotional, even though you shouldn't have been,
right,
for any reason.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm glad that I was able to feel again. Feeling is good.
Yeah, I think the first season, it was like, you know, the pretty top-notch cute girly Ashike, like, you know, non Biori at its finest kind of level. But it didn't make me feel. This season really made me feel, like, all the way through consistently. I had like really strong emotions about it, and there was never any justification for it. It's really interesting.
I love Shimarine and her grandpa so much.
Yep.
Oh man, my heart melts.
He is a very good grandpa.
Oh, the meat.
The mustache.
Yeah, he's just the manliest man in the world.
But also a teddy bear.
No, I have to agree with what everyone's been saying, which, I mean, doesn't happen too often because I love being a fucking dick about shit.
I feel that.
No, it's a lot of fun, you know, watching it and, you know, seeing everybody have a good time and, you know, just enjoy everybody's company, and no conversation ever gets weirdly political. You know, nothing happens.
They just talk about normal stuff.
They talk about normal stuff and encourage each other and love camping and things like that. And I agree about the soundtrack too. I think the soundtrack really, really helps set the mood as well, because you can have all the imagery you want, but if you don't have like the sounds to back up like the soothing feeling, or, you know, the slightly whimsical, energetic feeling, it doesn't hit nearly as hard. I mean, I'm playing through like Red Dead Redemption 2 right now, and the soundtrack is amazing, and it really sets the tone for a lot of the biggest scenes, where if it was silent or if it was like any other song, it would not work. But yeah, Yuru Camp just really hits like all the notes, and I think maybe one of the reasons you like it as much in the second season, Kestrel, just, you know, from an outsider looking in, is how consistent it is. Maybe like it didn't try to push any envelope. It did, but it also didn't rest on its laurels. It just knew what it was good at and the characters, and just gave you more of that. It didn't try to be like introducing brand new characters that, you know, messed up the dynamic, or, you know, made it so that, well, they can't go camping anymore because of COVID. So
yeah, and sorry, go ahead.
But that's it. The only, like, if I was really nitpicky about it, which I sometimes do just to keep myself in check so I don't love something too much, is the only thing it lost for me is the magic of like that first camping trip. Of like seeing a brand new world and a brand new hobby and getting involved in it, because by the end of the show they're essentially like
they're too good now.
Yeah, they're good. They're as much of an expert as they're going to be about like how to set up tents and tarps and cooking and all that stuff. So you do lose a little bit of the magic of them learning about how stuff like works. But other than that, it was, you know, fucking fantastic.
Yeah, and going back to something that DJ said when we were talking about the news of this getting a movie, I think a big thing about this season as well was the time it allowed for the supporting cast, because going into the season, I really didn't care about anyone except Nadeshiko and Rin. But, you know, this gave the opportunity for each of them to have their own solo adventures, as well as the rest of the main cast to have one without the main characters involved. And so you really got to develop them, explore their personalities, and what makes them unique and charming. And so now I love them all.
That was probably my favorite episode, because they just had no fucking idea like what they were getting themselves into.
Which I guess kind of goes back to your, you know, not knowing how to camp. At least they still fucked up there.
Like if Shimarine's around, like nobody's gonna fucking be in trouble. She's too good.
Yeah.
Take her away and it's chaos.
Yeah. You freeze to death.
Yeah. Also, I'm obligated to throw it out. I really want Nadeshiko and Shimarine to get married. I'm obligated to say that every time we talk about this show, and this season reinforced that.
Yep. They are very cute, especially with how much Shimarine cares about her. Is worried
about each other so much. Oh my god.
Yeah, the thing in the last episode where she realizes that they have the same mutual worry for each other's well-being. Very cute.
Yeah, that's the moment she fell in love.
Yep. I buy it. I ship it.
That's what the movie's gonna be about.
Have any of you checked out the video game?
What?
No. They and not just the video. There are 2 video games because they just came out with a VR one as well. And I bought an Oculus recently. Yeah, it's you play as Shimarine. You're hanging out with Nadeshiko, and you're just camping at the places they went to camp at, which is cool.
That sounds awesome.
But apparently, it's only on Oculus Quest right now, and I have an Oculus Rift, and so I have to fucking wait for them to make it for that. It's annoying. They are not backwards compatible for some reason.
Yeah.
We were.
My roommate just got the Quest 2, so I'm just learning the intricacies of VR and how some things aren't on others.
It's a whole new world, man.
It really is.
Yeah, there's like a normal video game too.
I've never experienced a VR video game really, but when we talked about this on the last episode that we were all together, you and I at least were in agreement that man, this show makes me want to go camping, even though I hate camping and I know I would hate it. So there we go. We get to camp from the comfort of our couch.
Yeah, perfect.
In VR.
I was going to say, mark my words right now, but we'll have a VR chat Fandom Post podcast in the future.
Hell yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, the show was just, phenomenal. So I'm happy it was able to be as consistently good as it managed to be. Especially when you look at it objectively, it doesn't have a whole lot of source material. It doesn't have a whole lot to work with.
Right. Very simple.
Yeah. But that's part of the magic, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's so charming. It's just a very straightforward slice of life show where it's all about how well you develop the characters. And yeah, the soundtrack, I agree. I mean, I don't think I would enjoy the manga nearly as much because that music is really important.
Indeed. Does anybody else have anything to say about it?
I didn't watch it, so I haven't watched the first season yet. I need to get through those when I can get. But now that Nananbyori's over, I have that slice of life shaped hole in my heart. So
yeah, it was
I need to fill that.
Packed Yashike season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think DJ, you just watched the first season recently, right?
Of Nananbyori?
No, of Eurocamp.
Oh, of Eurocamp? Yeah, I watched Eurocamp. I think last season or 2 seasons ago.
Right.
Yeah, 2 seasons ago, and then I watched it immediately again with Becca.
Nice. Yeah, I remember as soon as you watched that, you were like, "How have you guys been waiting 3 years for the second season? I can't wait another week."
Idea. Yeah, I have no idea how you did it, and I have no idea how I went that long without watching it. Because even when it came out, I was like, "This is the show that I would love." I guess I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, I feel like we were talking about it every episode and being like, DJ, why aren't you watching this? This is such a you show.
Yeah, it is. It's perfect for me.
Also, as a little aside, from this and ReZero, specifically these 2 seasons airing in the same season, I finally get your best girl Seiyu appeal. I get it.
Do you? Okay, yeah. It was a very, very good season for her.
Yeah,
Amelia's?
Yeah, Rie Takahashi, right?
Yeah. God, so good.
Yeah, she, I had never really gotten, the aspect of her voice that makes it distinct and, be able to recognize it. I think I have that now. I think I'll be able to pick up on her, and I get what's appealing about it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad because I could pick her voice out from fucking across a hallway now.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Oh, I was trying to see what I would probably recognize her most from. Also Megumin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, DJ's always talking about her, and I'm always like,
yeah.
I don't know if I really get what's unique about her voice. I haven't really picked it out yet. I can't recognize it, but I think I might get it now. And yeah, it's a nice voice.
I'm glad. Are we gonna... Is this our cue to start talking about ReZero?
I didn't mean it as a segue, but we can talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, let's talk about ReZero. Right. Season 2 is great.
Yeah.
I still like the first season more, but season 2 is also great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel about the same as I do at the end of every season of ReZero, which is that I'm like super hyped about it, but it'll probably fade pretty quickly.
Yeah. It's like I was crazy hyped after the first season, but that like several year wait, it like
for sure.
It killed it for me. So if they put out season 3 really quickly, which they won't, I will be able to maintain that.
Yeah, because like the first season, I was, by the time it got to like where it was really good, I was super hyped about it for the rest of its run, and then for probably a few years afterwards. And then faded, kind of lost steam. Second season came back, and I was really excited about it by the end of that. But by the time the next season started, I had kind of lost it already. So yeah, I don't know.
I feel like I had the opposite effect, where the first season for me was good, but I had my issues with it, and I wasn't sold on Subaru for like the first half of it, which is like fair, because I feel like right away he comes off as like kind of cringy and like he's definitely walking into his death half the time. But I feel like the wait between season 2 and season 1 let me, I guess, appreciate the actual world building and story they were setting up in the first season. Because when I went into season 2, I was totally lost. But like once I kind of started to remember everything again, I really started to enjoy the actual story of the second season a lot more. The first one.
Yeah, and I think they are covering pretty different ground. The first season already had a few different arcs within it, but yeah, I think your enjoyment can hinge a lot on which characters resonate the most with you, because it's a very different dynamic now, and yeah, just a lot of other aspects of its storytelling. There are a lot of things that it does consistently, but there are a lot of new things with each arc. So yeah, I can definitely see everyone having a different favorite and least favorite arc in the series.
Ugh. Yeah, this is another one of those on the long line of, this season was so stacked. Well, something has to go by unwatched.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair. I feel like I gave it a pretty high score, but I feel like ReZero is like a double-edged sword, where the dialogue is either making the scene entirely or like it's going over my head, and I just like I'm kind of like tuning it out.
Mm.
I think for the most part I enjoyed I feel like I didn't understand at first the whole sanctuary thing, but once they started to actually go into like the background of the characters, like Rosewall and Betty and them, I started to like the setup of the story more. But definitely took me a few episodes to be like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, I think I kind of experienced a similar thing, and I'm kind of just looking forward to like the Blu-rays coming out and having an excuse to rewatch it all, because I think I could gain a lot more from watching it a second time, watching it all straight in a row. Because yeah, this isn't a series that I'm invested enough in to like make it a priority to make sure that I am 100% following every little detail. Like Attack on Titan, I watch it with some people and they have lots of questions and confusion. I know Attack on Titan like better than my own life story. Every little detail, I just mull over every little aspect of it. So this show, not so much. There are a lot of things that, yeah, I could probably use refreshers on.
Props to White Fox, though. I think there was maybe 2 episodes that had an OP and like 2 or 3 that had an ED. So like 27, 29-minute runtime every episode.
Yeah.
You don't see that often.
Yeah, ReZero's crazy like that, because it's been that way since the beginning of the series. They almost never have the opening. When they have the ending, more often than not, it's just like, over actual footage of the show. And there's no like recaps or anything like that. No previews really, just the next episode title. No eye catches. The episodes are all 29 and a half minutes instead of 24, like every other show in existence. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks good for the most part too. Like, of course, there's gonna be some off models here and there, but yeah, for the most part, for the runtime, looks pretty solid.
Yeah, definitely appreciate them using all of their time, and somehow more than any other show gets, just using every single second of it for content.
Is that about it for that show?
Sounds like it.
Cool beans. Can we talk about skating?
We can talk about skating. Whoa, you want a beef?
Oh man, I'm so looking for a hot beef.
I feel like they haven't said beef in a couple episodes.
They haven't for a long time.
Well, now we're gonna just talk about it all the time. I just want to put this out there about this show. It had the single moment that made me lose my shit the most in any anime that I've watched in the past 2 years. And that is when a dude got smashed in the face by a skateboard. That alone made it worth watching the whole series. The whole series is tons of fun and silly and great, and I love people dancing on top of their skateboards as they're drifting around mountain corners and stuff, like Initial D on skateboards.
Right.
But that moment when, and this is a spoiler, when Adam turns around and smashes Cherry in the fucking face. I lost my goddamn mind, because as soon as it happened, I was watching it with my brother. I went, he's going to hit him in the face. He's going to hit him in the face. And then he takes a home run swing, and Cherry should be dead.
Yeah, he really should.
He should.
It is miraculous, and Reiki should be dead after the last episode, too. A lot of these guys should be dead.
Yep.
They should be dead. This isn't they've clearly gone the One Piece way of dealing with injuries.
Right.
which is throw some bandages on it or whatever and deal with it later. But man, when Cherry got hit in the face, the sheer fact that he is conscious afterwards is a goddamn miracle. Because that wasn't a normal skateboard either. There was bullhorns on the end of it. That is one of my favorite watching anime moments for as long as I can remember, because I didn't know if it could get any crazier, and then that happens, and I was like, how did nobody just go after Adam and try to beat his ass immediately? They were just like, well, that's skateboarding. That's a beef for you.
That's a beef.
Anything can happen during a beef, especially physical assault.
I mean, that is Adam's MO. He always includes physical assault in his beefs. Just usually not things that should murder a person.
Oh yeah, I mean his beefs were always the funnest to watch, because he doesn't care about the safety of the other person in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
If they die on the track, he gives zero shits. When he raced Reiki for the first time and did that dance dip and almost scraped his face against the dirt. Yep. I was scared. That gave me anxiety. But man, that show is great. It didn't have. I mean, I was gonna say it didn't have any business being as fun as it did, but I guess all you gotta do is watch it for 5 minutes and realize what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it struck a good balance, though. I thought it did enough to get you interested in actual skateboarding moves and maneuvers, but also they're we're gonna fantasize a bit, don't worry. So it'll still look kooky crazy and defy human physics.
Right.
That is a super good point, because I think I brought it up when we talked about it the first time, is that they got the terminology right and stuff.
Yeah.
When they tried to be realistic, they got the terminology right, other than beef. But they called an ollie an ollie. They didn't call it a bunny hop or something weird like that.
Yeah.
which gave it some, some credibility in that respect.
So I only I'm on like episode 5 or 6 because I fell behind. I was watching with a roommate and we haven't caught up.
I'm glad we just spoiled everything for you then.
No, it's fine. It's one of those shows where like I can't really find anything to be a spoiler because it's just kind of like a fun ride. There's nothing really riding on it that I'm super attached to.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard there were, as with most shows are having them, but like I heard there were some production issues at some point. Was there any kind of like noticeable dip in the show?
I didn't notice any quality problems. It did have a random recap episode in the middle, and it's still going. It hasn't ended yet, so I'm guessing that was unplanned.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it had like an episode, I think it's like 7.5 or something.
Right.
Okay.
Which there's not a whole lot to really recap at that point.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that's what happened there.
Yeah. That happened quite a few times this season, so I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't notice anything else either. Everything looked, as smooth and clean as it always has when it comes to that show.
Yeah, Bones can, they don't really miss.
Yep.
I don't know how to feel about... Now that I know that you haven't finished it, it's hard to talk about it.
I'm sorry. No, please, talk about it.
Okay, I don't know how to feel about Reiki's character arc, because in a lot of ways, it is super realistic in how most people would feel in that situation, because my biggest problem with sports anime, and I love them, has always been everybody just constantly is encouraged to keep improving, and not a single person is like, man, these guys are just way too fucking good. I might as well just give the fuck up and become an accountant.
Right.
And the fact that Reiki experiences that, I enjoyed, because everybody feels that way, especially when it comes to stuff that takes real physical effort. Like, rare is the person who is they see someone so good, and first, like, not even a second are they discouraged. But man, he just gets like super whiny.
Yeah,
he takes it to the extreme. Like, I wish he would have had like a standard mini arc where he gets really discouraged, and then like people come look for him and tell him how great it is to have friends, and then he's like, "You guys are right," and then we're back. And then we're back to normal. But he
it's
just
such an anime. I've been saying that this whole time.
But he just doesn't really have that. He has like a glimpse eventually. Like, by the end he comes back around. But when he has that glimpse of watching the race between Adam and not Adam and Longa, I think it was Gorilla Gigolo and
Gorilla Gigolo.
And
Joe?
Longa. Joe. That's right, Joe.
You remembered Gorilla Gigolo.
It's a way better name.
Joe, the most common name.
But Gorilla Gigolo is much more memorable. But between
not to be
and
confused with Shadow, who is a Gorilla Juggalo.
But yeah, like what I thought for a second when he saw that race and was there, that was gonna be his like, I should get going again, but it isn't. It actually just makes him worse. So I just didn't know how to feel about it, because I was like, this is more realistic, but also stop whining all the time.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that character arc was probably my favorite part of the series. Because
beef.
Beef.
The idea of, experiencing someone who's just a genius at something, especially something that you introduced them to and have spent so much more time dedicating yourself to, and they just blow past you, blow you out of the water. Experiencing that and how much of an inferiority complex you can develop, and, just question all of your life choices and your worth in this thing that you're so passionate about. That is like, the perfect story arc to resonate with me and really make me feel for a character. I was really glad it happened, that they addressed it even while they were being super silly with most of the series, and that it wasn't resolved so cleanly, that it's not always as easy as your friends just being like, hey, didn't you hear we were in a fun anime? So I really enjoyed it.
Debbie Downer.
Like, I know that there's no way to, like, satisfactorily balance that really realistic feeling with, being in this kind of fun anime and having a resolution and having it turn out that it's okay, which obviously it has to eventually. That's kind of that sentiment is going to ring true no matter how you present it. But I was pretty satisfied with how they went through the whole process.
Yeah. I'm glad they did. Yeah. They didn't make it like a super clean thing, because it does make it feel a little more believable, especially because, man, there's nothing more bullshit than I guess I better work harder.
Right. Yeah,
there are people who probably feel that way, but everyone has their wall where it's just like, no, I'll never be that good.
Right. Yeah, I definitely appreciate, like you said, compared to your standard sports shonen, just gotta keep trying harder. Being a little realistic about it and being like, these people are geniuses. I don't have inherent talent. I'll never be able to overcome this. Yeah, that's
because there's always something to be said about hard work trumping talent, but you get a problem when the talent also works hard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where you get some problems.
Right.
So, yeah, it was nice to see kind of that little bit of story character development. It's just, I can recognize now that it was nice to see it, but I also realize that it isn't very fun to watch. Especially when you've got all these beefs to juggle.
Yeah, I'm glad it happened. It made me care about the story from a serious perspective more and about Reki a lot more. But it maybe didn't belong in this show. This show is maybe better when or any show is maybe better when it's either doing that or being completely absurd. Balancing the two, not that effective, I don't think.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it does belong a little more in like a Hanabado kind of thing.
Right.
Where everybody's got problems. You know who's the most sympathetic person in the whole show, though?
Who?
Fucking Hector. I think his name was. Or Henry. The guy in the tournament race that didn't get a name and didn't get a face. You knew he was fucked immediately.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Poor guy.
Yeah, the placeholder.
Yeah, he was done.
I was kind of like pulling for him, though. Like, what if he did win?
I was kind of hoping too. I was like, what if this dude that hasn't been introduced as even a real character all of a sudden starts winning, and this is like who gets to race Adam in the end?
His Racer X
mysterious monster.
Oh my god, what a fucking ending that would be.
What an upset.
It would have been incredible.
That would like bring this show up a lot for me. It's complete fucking flip on its head.
Like, guess what? Nobody's as good at skating as Hector.
I think it was Henry. I should look it up.
Yeah, it was a funny H name.
Yeah, it was an H name. I want to. Yeah, it's either Hector or Henry, but
I want to say
way,
Harry.
Maybe Harry. Yeah, it was Harry, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Either way, that dude was fucked as soon as his face came. Well, his sort of face came up on the screen. I liked Adam's presentation of the race, though, being bummed every time like a name was pulled that he didn't really give a shit about.
Right.
Get his eyes on the prize.
Mm-hmm.
Did they kind of wrap it up, or did they leave room like season 2?
There's still one more episode tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because of that recap episode, it got pushed back.
True.
Yeah,
This was not a show I expected to have a recap.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one I would definitely recommend to like my non-anime watching friends in a way. Like, Adam is a little weird of a character to have to explain because of his raw sexual tension.
Yeah,
Good love hug though.
Pure Dio energy.
Right.
It's pure. But in terms of like, do you want to watch something silly with people doing initial D skateboarding down a mountain? That would get my friends to sign up for this anime in an instant.
Right.
Yeah.
I described Adam as having been born of the unholy orgy of Dio Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter and Tsukiyama from Tokyo Ghoul.
Whew.
Oh yeah.
I don't know the
That
Hunter
is
x Hunter guy,
quite
but Kiyama
the
I definitely see.
Mhm.
100%.
Unholy orgy.
Yeah. Yeah, Hisoka also gets very
Swing.
aroused when he's battling against often underage boys. just because of the challenge.
that pure battle potential.
I feel like Adam is supposed to be voiced by Miyano. I feel like that is supposed to be the case.
Oh,
but he is not.
But because of Koyasu, he's got that Dio energy, so I think it works.
Oh, still, yeah, definitely. But it could be better.
Yeah, I think my brother's favorite move was anytime he danced on his, did flamenco dancing on his skateboard.
Right.
That was his favorite, part anytime it happened. You know what? Why doesn't anyone just bring a gun for their beef? And then they go halfway down the mountain and they shoot the other guy in the leg, because no one ever said that was illegal.
I mean, Adam gets pretty close sometimes.
Yeah, he does get really close. I know that Shadow is all about being dirty with his little laser pointer pen and stuff, but man, why doesn't he just bring a knife and stab a guy halfway down the mountain? Then we're jumping up to a much more mature anime in terms of its violence, but he would win a lot more races that way. Well, he would claim a lot more beefs. Oh, also, where are these fucking tattoos from that very first race?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody ever pays up on their beef bets.
Yeah.
Because I would love... They should have done that instead of a recap episode. Just an episode of watching people have to pay up their debts.
OVA series.
Yeah.
Squashing the beef.
Squashing the beef, yeah. Skate the infinity, squash the beef. Yeah, I'll be sad when this one's done, just because you don't get a show like this super often that just is what it is for something like skateboarding or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be a little bit sad, because you get cool shonens and fighting anime and stuff all the time, but you don't often get battle skateboarding.
One for originality, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Was this wasn't a Crunchyroll original, was it?
It wasn't even on Crunchyroll.
No, it's not even on it. Yeah, I was trying to remember if there was anything unique about its production, but I don't think there is.
Just that it's an original.
Surprisingly high rated on my anime list. It is over an 8, which I did not expect.
Wow.
Kestrel, you're right. Yeah, it's an original. It doesn't have a source material.
Right.
Or anything. That's right. That's why I was thinking about it, is that it isn't a sequel or based off of a manga. It is its own universe, which is unique enough, especially in this season.
I mean, we got another big original this season.
Segue.
Yeah, that sounds like a great segue. Why don't you talk about that?
I know someone who would like to talk about it even more than me. DJ. DJ, you want to talk about your favorite show?
Hold on a sec.
He has to mentally prepare for this.
No, it's something happened. Hold on.
I was curious what because Kate said there's only 2 shows she watched. I was curious what those 2 shows could be out of all of these.
The 2 shows I was reviewing, I had grand intentions of watching Log Horizon, and I just didn't get around to it. But I was reviewing Dr. Stone Season 2 and Slime Season 2. So those were the 2 shows I watched. And they were very much Season 2s of reasonably good source material, so...
Yeah. I could agree with Dr. Stone Season 2. It was very Season 2 energy, but
yes,
still enjoyable.
It was basically picking up right where it left off, and then proceeded to carry on where it left off, and then the ending where they chose to they fit what they wanted to fit into the season, and then ended it in a spot that was almost good enough to, if they had to stop the series there, stop it there, but then they immediately announced they're doing a Season 3. So, as far as adaptations go, it's gonna keep going, because it is a shonen series, so they can keep it going as long as they want. So...
Yeah, I feel like they, especially Shonen Jump, they push Dr. Stone a lot. I feel like I've seen it on the cover of the magazine quite a few times the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the big ones that's still running, because right as Demon Slayer became the biggest thing, it ended.
Yeah.
So now it's like, you got your One Piece, your Doctor Stone, your My Hero Academia. Now Jujutsu Kaisen is joining those ranks. Neverland ended. Haikyuu ended. A lot of big ones ended.
Chainsaw Man came and went in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Was that supposed to be like the next huge one? Because I've seen fan art of it in some like minor fanfare.
Well,
Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, Chainsaw Man.
I will say it's probably gonna be enormous when the anime comes out. I feel like it's gonna get the Jujutsu Kaisen treatment.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The manga only wrapped up its first part. People thought it was ending, but then they announced that it was only the first part, and then. I think it's smart though, like being able to like cut the story up into about like 80, 90 chapters and then take a break until he feels like he can like get the second half going.
Interesting.
But back on Dr. Stone, I feel like it was one of those, like you said, it did what it needed to do. It's a sequel, but nothing that's the thing. It like I put it at a B+ because it's like it's adapting good source material and it did what it needed to do, and like there was like no hitches along the way. I very much was always enjoying it.
Yeah, there was no dips in quality of production, and the pacing remained good, and it was still the same goofy dumb show that it's been since the beginning. But, there was nothing remarkable about it, but it didn't totally nosedive, so, yeah, I think most of my episodes scored around that for the season. There was only, I think, maybe, like, one episode that dipped way down. Yeah. Solid season 2.
Yeah, and from what I hear, the literal last episode's called, like, Prologue of Dr. Stone, but everyone says like, oh, from here it like really gets going. So I'm excited to actually. I know. Did they announce a third season? Right.
They
after?
did.
Yep.
I feel like I still plan on catching up with the manga to an extent because I know Boichi's art is just like insane.
Yeah.
So
also,
experience that firsthand.
I was at Anime NYC 2019, which is the last convention that maybe existed or should have existed anyway. And they had a bunch of big Dr. Stone stuff. They had Boichi and the author, I forget his name, as guests there, and they had a big panel. And they had Boichi do some live drawings, and he gets that detail in, like, the amount of time it would take someone to do, like, just a rough sketch to, start working on a piece of art. Yeah, his speed is absurd, and they only wanted him to do like one piece of art, and he just had more time, so he just kept drawing more, and they were all just absurdly hyper detailed. But yeah, I agree.
I wish more Japanese artists would stream their work, like what's his face does or used to do. I don't know if he's been doing it anymore, but the One Punch Man guy. Yeah, he would stream his shit all the time, and some days I remember being like, I think it was my last job before this one, where I'd be sitting at work and I'd be like, oh, he's streaming, and I'd just tune in at one point, and he'd just be like inking doing something.
Probably Fubuki fan art, his favorite character.
Yeah.
He would be like legit working on One Punch Man, and it would just be like, doing detailing something or whatever, inking something. It was just like, god damn, dude. Because he would just stream his workflow. It was like crazy. I'm like, I wish more mangaka would do this and people would see what it actually takes to like produce this stuff and how long it takes to do art. Because people have no idea that if you don't draw, you don't know how long it takes to draw something.
Yeah, I can barely comprehend how artists can even do what they do, especially now with like digital art. Like, insane what you could do. And I agree. I would like to see more output. I recently found Inio Asano. He streams on YouTube every now and then.
Oh, nice.
And it's usually like sometimes it's him working, and sometimes it's like him playing a video game, and he has like an assistant with him working. It's interesting, but
nice.
Yeah.
I just assume he's very sad all the time.
Yeah, right. I literally just finished reading Oyasumi Pun Pun
my god.
like a week ago. So
Welcome to Depressionville.
yeah, I'm still trying to cope with my feelings about that whole thing.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're 2 hours in. We've talked about like 2 shows.
Oh god, we've talked about.
I knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quickly, Slime. Slime managed to rectify some of the problems I had with the ending of the first season, which was they blew through a couple of storylines and the pacing was really rushed towards the end of that season. And they went back at the beginning of this season and they filled all that back in with the stuff they skipped over, which was necessary because some of it set up characters and situations that were necessary for this part of the story. So, but then they kind of rushed the last episode, but we're only on a mid-season break really for that because of the split core. So, that's all I will say about Slime is that, oh, and the fight scenes were spectacular, and I'm glad that that's where the effort went in this season. Because the penultimate, like, battle episode where everybody got to show off their shit went through, like, at least 3 different styles of fight in that one episode, and, so that was pretty good payoff. And I was, pretty damn happy with that. But that's really all I gotta say about Slime. I think people are hoping for some big emotional fallout from how the situation wrapped up, and now that Rimuru is a demon lord. But, yeah. Show doesn't really do heavy emotional... I mean, the series doesn't do heavy emotional bullshit. Because there ain't no stops on this train of insane power-ups and ridiculous jumps in scaling of power and stuff like that.
Are the novels still going?
It's kind of one of those situations where it was a web novel and then he is rewriting them for actual novels, so he hasn't reached the ending of the story yet because he's basically his web novels were a first draft and then we went back and exceedingly bloated out the storyline for the actual light novel. So I think it's still running in Japan.
Are you saying the web novel is over though?
The web novel ended, but he might totally rewrite the ending the way that he is choosing to, like, you know, rewrite and change things that he had done originally. So there's years worth of material there. Like, even, I mean, there are like 2 or 3 seasons to like catch up with, even to where like the English release of the light novels are, because this covered up through the end of like volume 5 and volume 10 just came out in English.
Wow.
So yeah, and I think they're up on like volume 18 or 19 in Japan. So that's a lot of slime.
Yeah,
very
plenty of slime to come.
The power jumps are kind of crazy, so
yeah, it's good. It got weirdly potentially emotional, and then got weirdly genocidal, and then everything's okay now.
Yep. That's where it's at.
That's quite a flip flop.
Yep.
Yep.
Everyone died, and then everyone was killed, and now everyone's back to life. Well, all the people that died that we care about.
Yeah. It was a situation where it's like, oh no, 100 people died. I'm gonna go kill 20,000 people.
I'm gonna go kill 20,000 to maybe bring them back. There's a 3% chance that killing 20,000 people will bring back my friends.
It's one of those, are we the baddies moment? It's like,
exactly.
Well, you are monsters, so...
Yeah, it's like the trolley dilemma.
Yeah.
Snap the lever off.
The show did go out of its way to be like, look, these are bad guys. Look at these guys. Yeah. These soldiers are sitting here talking about, like, pillaging and raping.
And, like, I don't necessarily buy that all 20,000 are, like, horrible people in their hearts. But I do wish, and I'm sure Cain and I will be talking about this more next season with another season of Moriarty. But, you know, I do wish that they didn't just present all of the people that he was going to kill as, just so explicitly evil. Because it'd be nice to have some real ethical dilemma to what he was doing. And we didn't really get that.
No. Of course, you do wonder, like, how skewed your perspective of life and death would be if you died and then got reincarnated in another world with all those powers. You'd probably be like,
what if...
better luck next time, I guess? I don't know.
What if all the guys that he killed got reincarnated as, like, superpowered amoebas in our world?
Oh, God.
Oh, my goodness.
He just unleashed, like, the pandemic on us and didn't realize it. But he'll never know. It's in the other world. Anyway, Slime's still a fun ride, and Rimuru is still cute, and...
That's all that really matters.
Yep, that's all that matters. He got his secretary, and his people. And now he's got basically Satan on his staff, so that's cool. Yeah, they kind of see the mid-season ending was basically like, oh no, this war thing, everything's really complicated. I think I'll unleash my super powerful dragon now. This seems like a good time to do that. Slime's silly and fun. That's all I watched.
At least you like both of them, because there have been some seasons where you've watched like 2 shows and hated them both.
I usually know how to pick them, and it's not usually good.
That is not knowing how to pick them.
No.
It's the
It's the Kate curse.
The Kate curse is usually like, this looks like a dumb action show. This is garbage with no budget. And yep.
Okay. Something was directed to me before I vanished, and I don't know what it was.
We were talking about the other big original of this season that you might have opinions on.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of opinions on it, and they're all that it's the best. Oh my god, I fucking love Wonder Egg Priority. It's everything I like about anime in one anime, and it pulled no stops. Is that the phrase? I feel like I'm misphrasing that.
Pulled out all
no,
the
you
stops.
got it.
Pulled out all the stops, yeah. Pulled no punches.
It didn't pull the stops. It pulled them out.
Yeah. I have a question about that, though. Did it actually finish, or are they holding it?
We're getting more.
Back?
There's no way that we're not getting more.
No,
it's not possible.
There's the real ending is coming in June, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
They had that recap suddenly happen, and then they were like, oh, by the way, actual finale, not ready. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a weird situation.
I hope it's more than just one more episode. I feel like I definitely want like at least 1 million more episodes.
I mean, probably if it's successful, you'll get your Monica style spin-offs.
Oh, hell yeah.
I feel like we have to I feel like we have to be at least thankful that it's gonna get an ending, like especially with how quality the show looked the entire time, and like just hearing about like the production issues going on behind the scenes, like they still managed to make it look so good.
That's right.
And I feel like it's a telling of a new era. It's already been kind of happening for like Twitter animators, but like the actual influence and pull of animators being found on Twitter and brought onto projects is just like happening so much more frequently. And Wonder Egg was like perfect example of that. And like listing in the credits like a whole wall of just like random freelance animators like getting to work on a project like this, and like it looks spectacular because of it.
Yeah, and it's been happening a lot with like foreign animators, non-Japanese, because you don't necessarily have to live in Japan. You don't have to speak Japanese even. And yeah, it's really cool to see the productions becoming more international as a result. You just kind of get the best around the world of passionate animators who can show off their talents over the internet.
I'm just glad that we had another story that was able to get as dark as it did without really ever feeling campy or like try hardy
or edgy. Like it wasn't.
I hate using that word.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, I don't know, do you have a better word for, you know what I'm describing? Like,
I know exactly
grimdark. Grimdark is a word that people like to use.
Grimdark. Just like XX anime XX.
Exactly.
So, the Warhammer 40k of anime.
Yeah, it is a very special show, and it had a lot of heart, and there wasn't any point in it where I was like, I wish you'd do this differently. Like, everything was perfect. And it's the first 10 I've given out since this exact season last year, where I also gave a 10 to another well-animated show about sad girls battling the physical manifestations of trauma. So, that's clear pandering to me.
What was that?
Magia Record.
Oh.
It's funny. I agree that like the themes and all the like character driven specific like trauma was never too ham-fisted. Like you said, it was never edgy. It's like they said just enough without having to tell you, like beating you over the head with like, oh, this is about like, yeah, this is about depression, this is about suicide, this is about like dealing with like gender identity. It's like they don't have to like smack you over the head with it.
The most accurate depiction of mental illness I've seen in anime.
Yeah. With it also being like extremely fantasized elements to it, but yes.
God, I love it. Everything about it is just what I love.
Yeah, it brings me back to watching my first like Ikuhara show, like watching Penguin Drum for the first time. This show just like had so much, it's like energy and power to it. It's like really such an incredible ride.
Yeah, I did mention the last time we talked about it, you know, along with the obvious Madoka comparisons. The only other thing that I really felt from it was like Utena and maybe a little bit of Lane.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to mention there was a trend this season with a few shows, but this one especially was pulled this one off where like ending on an extremely sad, depressing note. All right, let's kick in with the big hyper smile on your face, ED. Let's go. Great episode, everybody.
It. Oh my god, I love
that. Oh, so fun.
It's like one of my favorite things in anime. We're just like completely somber note, super happy ending.
So, Clannad After Story, episode 16.
Clannad After Story.
Jeez.
But Clannad After Story had a very depressing opening to make up for it.
It's true.
Yeah, I feel like I might actually give Wonder Egg a 10 by the end too. I'm one episode behind the current one, so but I mean like you said, I've seen almost no faults with it.
Oh, it's such a good ending. The Frill episode was remarkable.
Oh yeah. That was insane.
Like, I don't know if anyone ever saw Splice, but it was just Splice in anime form. It was great.
Is that the one with James McAvoy?
No, it's Adrian Brody.
That's Split. I thought the same thing.
Oh,
creates a new life form.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's such a good movie. If you ever want to watch something like horror, sci-fi, romance,
I'll have to check this out.
All right.
I didn't think that was going to be a thing that came up in this discussion.
Horror, sci-fi, romance?
No, Splice, just ever.
Splice.
Any chance I get to like throw Splice into the mix, I do, because it's one of my favorite movies. All right, what else do we have?
I've only watched one other show this season, which I think everybody has also enjoyed, which was Non-Biori Nonstop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of sad because it did stop.
It did stop. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure this is like the end. And
so
that
was a lie.
Like that, yeah.
It seemed very final.
Yeah.
From what I heard, it is like the final like after credits, like the school and just fade to white. I think that's like how it ended. So
yeah, I definitely got that impression.
I don't want it to be over.
Do you think we could bring a class action?
Yeah, I'm down.
I mean, it says non-stop in the title.
That's true. Clearly false advertising.
Clearly very false advertising, and I bet we could get enough people upset about it.
We just got to get enough signatures. We could do anything.
Yeah, exactly. We just need enough internet signatures.
Renge's got a cult online. We will easily get enough signatures.
That's true. I feel like this would be a lot easier than we're making it out to be.
It really would.
I think these powers should probably be used for remaking The Promised Neverland Season 2.
Oh my
What's
goodness.
Season 2?
Exactly.
What do you
Making
mean?
The Promised Neverland Season 2.
What if we just like swap out the kids in both shows?
Oh no.
No.
Because I feel like that would be extremely entertaining both ways.
Don't do that.
Renge would thrive in either environment.
Absolutely. Renge, she's kind of like a genius on the level of the Neverland cast. I could see it.
Yeah.
She's got the emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
It's funny because like it felt like such a gap between the last time I watched Non-Biori and now that I ended up putting Renge on my like top 10 male characters list, which is like for most of my time on that website, I've had like fucking shonen protagonist number 1, number 2, like all my favorite like dudes, and then it's like, wait, actually Renge is like one of the best characters I've ever seen in an anime. So I had to throw her up there.
I don't know
So
if I'd go that
entertaining.
far. I do love her though.
She's pretty great.
She's just like such an embodiment of curiosity. I love it.
I think it was the first season, but there was like the shot where her friend leaves for the first time and like doesn't say bye, and it's just fucking close up of Renge's face for like 3 minutes straight. And she just cries, and I'm like, oh god. That was beautiful. I love shit like that.
Yo, who was your number 1? It was Tatsuya from Irregular Magic High School, right?
No, but that is a good one. That's some fun stuff. I think it's Gintoki, honestly.
Nice. Man,
I've
finally
never
I
had a
get
male
someone...
in mine.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Finally I
That
get
doesn't shock me. I would be more shocked if you had one in your like top 20.
100.
Oh no, not at all.
Well,
How far down the list do you have to go until a dude gets on there?
Probably like 50,
I mean,
maybe. I think Hachiman.
yeah, let's
is
think
in the
about
top
this.
50.
Hachiman,
Yeah, come on,
Tomoya,
8-man deserves.
Okabe. There's some good boys.
I actually ranked my like top 3 male pro tags the other day, and it was Hachiman, Tomoya, and then Kazuma. Those were the 3.
Kazuma.
Hi,
I only
hi,
did
Kazuma
3 though.
des.
Hi, Kazuma des.
And then I liked Hotaro from Gyoka a lot as well,
Mhm.
because he was just Hachiman but sadder.
Yeah.
With Tomoya's
In my
voice.
mind, anytime anyone says Kazuma about anything, I only think of Yakuza Kazuma, and I'm like, absolutely, completely agree.
Yes.
Kazuma is one of the greatest video game protagonists of all time.
He really is. I don't know if you played the new Yakuza, but
You need to
Kasuga,
try.
the new one, he is just as good. He's so
I've
awesome.
heard he's a big old goofball.
He is such a goofball. It's hilarious.
Excellent.
just,
I'll play it someday, but we won't talk about that at the moment. Just because. But
I was
yeah,
gonna say if we start talking about Yakuza, it's gonna be a whole new podcast of content. We need to.
it really would be.
I'd be all for that episode.
I do have to
Yeah.
mention how much I appreciate that we finally have someone else on the podcast who has seen Gintama.
Yes, one of my favorites.
Me too.
I mean, I had at one point in my possession like the first 11 volumes of manga before Viz pulled the plug on releasing it.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, Nanan Biori was good. Like my brother and I were watching it together as well, and we were struggling to figure out because he's my twin brother, so our experiences in life are very similar in terms of like our activities and how we grew up, obviously. So we were struggling to figure out which one we liked more actually between Nanan Biori and Yuru Camp, because Nanan Biori is more accurate of what our real childhood was like, and Yuru Camp is the idyllic version of that same childhood. But really, we weren't camping all the time. We were naming frogs fatty and chasing people around with them. So, like, before we started recording, I was trying to figure out which one, if I was forced to rank them, because everyone here knows my feelings on ranking stuff, but man, I guess I would just put Nanan Biori as my preferred of the season, just because I felt like it was more accurate to what my childhood really was like, and gave me more nostalgia in that way, rather than an idyllic version of nostalgia like Yuru Camp or like Stand By Me the movie gives you, which is something that you may not have actually had, or was a very minor version of what they have in the show. But Nanan Biori was super accurate about like playing with sticks and laundry baskets and shit.
I love the ruler game they played. I don't know if it was this season or the last season, but it was a fucking awesome game.
The ruler game, or when they made tape dolls.
Yeah, I was thinking about the tape dolls this season.
So the tape dolls.
That's like
really,
the
anytime
cool
they
thing.
get really serious about something absolutely like pointless and ridiculous is some of my favorite moments of the whole Nanan Biori like franchise in particular.
I can't think of like any other show where just like all the seasons blur into one season for me. Like all of these events, I cannot pinpoint what season it happened in.
I mean, the first two seasons even happened at the same time.
Yeah,
it wasn't even a sequel.
That contributes.
I feel like that's supposed to be kind of the point, though.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
definitely.
Nothing changes.
Like the fact that they're in the middle of nowhere. Like this is everyday life. Like, all right, well today I'm gonna go play with my friends I play with every day. Like, let's go to the candy store or whatever. Like
that's why
let's play our shitty ass recorders.
That's why it felt so final in the last episode, because it's like it's a new school year. People are going to be going to the city. It's not going to be the same people in the class anymore. Things are actually changing for once.
I don't like that. I want them to stay little forever.
I agree.
Right.
I also agree.
Yeah. And that
not every show needs character development.
I agree.
It was so sad because that was playing throughout the whole season, where Renge like meets a friend that's younger than her. She's like, "Oh, I'm like the older sister," and then that girl's gonna get a younger sibling, and she's like, "Oh, it's this whole like transition, to the next." It was all about how it's called Nonstop, but they realize at some point it has to stop.
That's not a good title, then.
No,
it's true.
Once again,
it should have been called Nanan Biori.
Very good grounds for lawsuit.
No, Biori, it might stop at the end this time.
Nanan Biori, everything inevitably stops.
Yeah.
That Evangelion
I would 100%
title.
watch a show called that.
Yeah. Hideaki Anno's new
I was gonna say
spin-off.
it sounds like such an Ava title.
Nanan Biori, you will not stop.
Yep. Do you count what's in parentheses?
That's another show where we should swap the kids.
Oh god.
Oh my goodness. Get in the robot, Renge!
Shinji and friends in the countryside just fucking going to school.
There are slice of life, school life Ava spin-offs, so it's not that far off.
I was going to say,
it's the reverse.
Attack on Titan, junior high.
Yeah, there's like the Shinji Ikari Raising project.
Angelic Days. Like there's a bunch. It's Ava. Merchandising,
Money.
So I think I would put this over Yuru Camp just because they unfortunately had to be in the same season, for one. And two, it's just it's a funnier, more accurate version of what my childhood was actually like. Even down to the candy store lady. I had a candy store when I was younger.
Wow.
As well. Like, not nearly as quaint. It was more like a butcher shop that sold candy. But it still had the same feel of my brother and I would collect our like spare change and coins from doing chores and just shit like that, and be like, did you want to go to the store? And we would go and we'd buy like tasty cakes or whatever, and then we'd sit outside on our porch and eat them and then go play baseball.
Wow. Man, the good old days. Now fucking mortality's creeping in.
Yeah.
That'll do it to you.
I don't know.
Do it to you.
I can't remember from the first season or two, because I was probably watching it in like 240p or whatever resolution was back then, but
like the YouTube part 1, part 2.
Yeah, but the backgrounds looked so good in this season. Like all the still shots of nature were just like very, very serene.
Yeah. I think that's been like my biggest takeaway from like the very beginning of the series, because if I remember correctly, this was 8 years ago, but wasn't the first episode mostly just scenery?
Yeah, it was a Terrence Malick anime at first.
That's another thing I'd absolutely watch.
But yeah, I mean, it had that moments in this season too. Occasionally,
Yeah.
like just brief, like 30-second clips of just nothing but nature and then music playing behind it.
Mhm. Just not like 15 minutes like the first episode.
No, it was not 15 minutes. No. Yeah, this thoroughly enjoyed this show as well. Sad it has actually stopped.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think we can move on. Yeah.
Yeah, just because I finally have someone else to discuss it with, I want to talk about Higurashi Gou.
Yeah, let's do it.
Can I ask one quick question?
Yes.
Yes.
Because this has been a running thing
Yeah.
for this podcast.
Have you figured out what it is yet?
Yeah, have you figured out what it is? Is it a new
Yes.
show or is it a remake or what? Like, what is this?
Both.
What is it?
Yes,
That's
the
not
answer.
the answer I wanted.
is yes.
So it is an alternate telling sequel prequel.
Yes.
Jesus.
It's like the later seasons of Lost.
Yeah. It's fucking insane. And I wanted to rate it higher. But the first half of the season exists. So I can't. The new content that we did get was cool. It was not really like anything that we've experienced in Higurashi before. Because there's always been, and I'm going to try and keep this as spoiler free as I can. I will probably fail.
Same.
If you plan on watching Higurashi at all, stop listening. There's been one character who has been like the center point of the mystery where everything revolves around her for fucking years. And it's like that for the majority of Go as well. But there is one point where it's just like, nope, not anymore, and it swaps that person out entirely, and you get to see how the things would play out from the other character being powerful at the same time, but the other character not realizing that character is powerful timeline thing, and everybody changes personalities, and now it's just like, what is even happening? And that's the cool shit that you like about Higurashi. Like, it was always a cool series because you never knew what the fuck was going to come next. And I was finally confused again. And that's all I wanted the season to do to me. And it did it.
I was going to say, asking the question, do you know what it is yet? That's something that as a fan of Higurashi, you never want the answer to.
Yeah.
Because this show is, through the games and everything, it's come like 20 years along the line, and they're still bringing up plot points that changes everything that happened before it.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, now I know that this person was involved with a special power. How does that recontextualize what they've been doing up until this point?
It's so fucking deep.
I will say that it was pretty unfair for new fans that they marketed it as a reboot initially
100%.
Because they were like,
Kestrel.
this is something that new and old can enjoy. And it's set up just like that too, because the first 4 or 5 episodes basically follow the Dean anime, the original one that came out, follows it almost to a T. They brought back the same voice actors. They have Kenji Kawai on the music again. It literally felt like it was just a new, slap on a solid new design and give us that good old Higurashi. But then, eventually they're like, maybe you needed to watch Kai as well. Oh, and also you should probably play Umineko.
Jesus.
It was just they kept just adding layers and layers. But as someone who hasn't played Umineko and I haven't even watched Kai yet, I still
watch. Oh my god!
I know
it's the best one. Oh, it's so
I know.
good.
I finished the first season a month or 2 before this one came out, so I just didn't give myself enough time.
No, go watch
dummy.
the first season again, and then immediately watch Kai. I watched all of Kai in one day. It's the only 24 episode series I've ever watched in one day. And
I plan on watching it.
Changed me
before Sotsu comes back. So that's the other thing to mention about this is that Go isn't technically over because they set up the next big plot point, and they're like, all right, we're gonna bring you 6 or 7 more episodes in the summer that really wrap up what's happening right now. But I was overall really satisfied with Higurashi. The opening and ending themes were really good as well. I feel like it is hard to live up to the original Higurashi OP, but
the Kai opening's better.
Really?
The Kai opening's iconic. Yeah.
Damn.
It's the the Go opening, it like paid homage to the Kai opening with like the fucking the Rika running shot. Like that was cool. In the Kai opening too. It's so good.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I was very satisfied.
Yeah, I came out happy. I was worried that I wasn't gonna like it because after that first like retelling of the Dean arc, I thought the violence got a little too comically gruesome.
It was a little
like
goofy.
The same visceral feel that the Dean anime had. It was just more like, this is silly, stop.
Yeah, for a second, I was really worried at the beginning.
It definitely returned to form later on, though, especially with a lot of the Rika stuff, where it was like, oh, fuck, this is brutal.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, weird show.
Yeah, strange. Would not recommend starting here.
No,
not
at all.
Don't do that.
Wait, what would you recommend to somebody who knows everything about Umineko and nothing about Higurashi?
So if you like Umineko, you will like not know what's going on until the second half, and then you'll be like, I don't even care what's going on because this character's here. So you'll probably have that feeling, but from what I hear, they're very loosely connected. So I don't even know if you need to experience Umineko to like really get what's happening. But
you don't. No.
Who's shown up? Lambda Delta, Burn Castle, or Featherine?
Featherine. But
so that just makes things confusing.
Yeah,
that seems to be the
that's
theme.
The thing. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really understands, but like I said, that's why we're all here.
What a fucking weird series.
I want that to be like
Yukichi 7's fucking odd, man. That's a strange dude.
I want that to be like the pull quote on the back of the Blu-ray. Like, I don't think anyone really understands.
I get it. I get it. Okay. I think I talked about all the stuff I like really wanted to talk about. Oh wait, no, Horimiya, but that's not over yet. But I mean,
it's mostly over.
It's mostly over.
It's not like the conclusion is going to make or break it, I don't think.
Yeah, and we've read the manga anyway, so.
Yeah.
Woo.
I thought it was a great adaptation. It was
phenomenal.
Exactly what I expected it to be, exactly what I wanted it to be, and I'm very happy that it exists.
Yeah, it's the kind of adaptation that, like, I can't hope for that to happen because it's so unrealistic to expect such a good adaptation, especially for, just a simple little high school romantic comedy. Like, there's no reason on paper that should deserve that kind of lavish treatment. But goddamn, it got it. So good.
It was. I forgot like how much I liked every single character in this show. I'm still a little peeved that I'm not the official voice of Miyamura. But I am happy. At least one of my friends made it into the dub. Good for him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love it, and we got all of the good points of the series. We got basically the entire series. And yeah, it's Miyamura and Hori are basically my favorite anime couple, probably.
They're pretty good. I do like how natural it is. Like, it's just so refreshing to get a romance anime where, like, you don't have to worry about like, what are they thinking about me? Or, like, there's no way they can possibly be in love with me.
Kimi ni Todoke. 60 episodes of misunderstanding.
Everything Cain hates.
I would despise that show.
It is the most suspenseful show I've ever seen.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I just love how natural everything is and how open everyone is and how the relationships just develop and, they're dating within a few episodes. They go further than most anime or manga would show, but there's nothing like fan servicey about it. It's all just like as tastefully as possible, depicting the natural progression.
Off screen.
Yeah. Depicting the natural progression of a relationship.
Can you possibly fathom a main character not tripping into a girl's breasts and then they get together? Like, it didn't happen.
Ridiculous.
Absurd. Yeah, it's great. And then all the other characters, just all their dynamics and relationships and feelings just all feel so real and so well developed.
Ishikawa's good bro.
Mm-hmm.
I love like the bromances.
Yeah.
As well. Like bromance in anime is always fun, but these ones are like so like they're such real bromances. And there's even like the one dude who fucking like hates Miyamura in the beginning of the show, and then like they just stop hating each other because bros in high school.
Yeah, they don't go into it as much as they could, but I do appreciate his brief arc about, feeling guilt over being a bully. It's always a good redemption arc.
Yeah. Oh, I really like the visuals they did for that, where he's like trapped in the rabbit cage. That was really cool.
That was great. Yeah, really well-directed series.
They did it kind of a lot, but I did like that little thing they would do where like the outline would like the color outline would like pop out.
We were all thinking the same thing. I do love it. It was overused, but I still loved it every time.
Yeah. I want them to use it more. I want it to happen in the middle of conversations.
Yeah. A lot of great directorial flourishes that it didn't need to have, even with the phenomenal design, aesthetic, animation, cinematography, and everything. Great production.
Now, do I catch up to the manga and finish it, or what? I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there anything else on anyone's list that they feel a burning desire to talk about?
Well,
I mean, Kate and I are all dried up at this point.
I figure it would have to come eventually, but whenever you're ready, Kestrel, we could talk about Attack on Titan, because I know that's one of the big boys.
Yeah, I've written several dozen thousand words about this season of Attack on Titan in the past 4 months, so I'm curious to get your take.
Yeah, I can understand having... it's the same thing with TPN. I was like, I've written so much things in anger about this show that, like, how do I condense all of it? But it's the opposite, where it's like, how do I take this series I love so much that I've been, like, reading for years? Like, how do I just express the things that I love happening because I'm watching them happen? Of course, like, there's not going to be... It's going to be a rough transition when, like, studios change and people just decide they need to make it like it's almost like a video game console war. It's like, oh, fucking, like, Mappa's way better than anything Wit did, or people being like, wow, Mappa's just drawing stills and Wit was, like, the god tier studio for that show. It's like, it's such a bummer that, like, so much of the first couple episodes were just, like, clouded by just so much hate going around that it even, like, affected the staff. Like, I hate when shit like that happens.
Yeah, fans are the worst.
Yeah, fans really do kind of ruin everything. But
that is true.
But in a bubble, I thought the final season was really well done.
Yeah. I definitely went into it with concerns because Season 3 Part 2 was one of my favorite things ever. And to suddenly change everyone, I was really worried that it would be, probably One Punch Man Season 2 is the closest equivalent of, like, this dropped in quality so much purely because of the staff and studio changing. And I was like, yeah, and with them, putting their A-team on Jujutsu Kaisen, maybe this doesn't get the love it deserves running at the same time. But Attack on Titan, the final season, is also the greatest thing ever. So, yeah, everything worked out way better than I expected. God damn, Mappa was on top this season. Like, those two shows are just among my favorites of all time already. And yeah, like, so many things about what Wit did and what that staff did, what Araki did, is one of my favorite directors. Like, I didn't think that anyone could match that. And yeah, I think Jun Shishido, who's the chief director and directed the episode Assault, I think that was, like, on the level of, like, Hero from last season. Where it's just, this is one of the greatest episodes of television. Absolutely blown away. I reviewed it all season. I wrote several thousand words for each episode. Nothing got below an A-. Almost half the episodes I gave A+, and that episode of Salt I probably should have given an A++.
Just S tier.
Is that a real grade? Can we do that?
You can do whatever you want.
A+++.
Because because I had given the 2 episodes before A+, which they absolutely deserve. They are so near perfection. But then I got to that one, and I was like, oh, this is actually perfection.
We can go further beyond.
Yeah, we can go further beyond. Exactly.
I didn't know it could get this good.
Exactly. So, that was my experience. That was my experience with Season 3, Part 2. And despite my concerns, it was my experience again with the final season. And, with the way things are going, perhaps even the final season Part 2 could be better. I'm, of course, disappointed that I have to wait the better part of a year for more. But I will gladly take the staff having time off and having the time to make sure that it can be as good as it needs to be without killing themselves in the process.
They need at least a year's worth of time if they're going to prepare for the final season, because there's going to be... The thing that was nice about this season, despite the Mappa splitting up their staff so much and putting it on such strict timelines, it was a very static season. Not a lot of combat, not too much crazy Titan stuff besides Assault and some stuff
Warhammer
near the
Titan,
last couple episodes.
Warhammer Titan's my new favorite Titan. Throwing that out there.
So badass.
Pretty great.
When they first showed that in the manga, it was wait, Titans can be this too?
Creative.
It just took it to another level. But no, this Mappa hit the tone and the visuals so well. And all of the updated character designs were great. Reiner looking like a hot piece of depressed meat. Damn, that dude's down so bad. But
I have a crush on Peak now.
Nice.
Who doesn't? Come on. But yeah.
What about in her Titan form?
Oh.
Nah.
Gonna pass on that one.
What that cart do?
Into that.
His name's slipping me, but the voice actor for Eren,
Yukikachi.
so good. The way he transitioned from angsty, always screaming Eren to super edgelord Jaegerist Eren was so good, so well done.
Yeah, the Eren voice actors in each language have the hardest job, because they had little baby Eren in the beginning, and then angry teenager Eren and Titan Eren, and now super enigmatic, gorgeous, maybe horrible villain Eren. And they're all very different voices. Man bun Eren. That is a much more concise description.
So it's interesting because I've been watching the final season with my roommate, and him and I were roommates in college, and I introduced him to Attack on Titan. So us living together now, 6 years or whatever later after school, and getting to watch the final season together again has been really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But just it's so hard as a manga reader, just telling him we haven't even got to the part that's my favorite part yet, and this show has already been a 9, 10 out of 10 its whole run.
Do you think that? So I haven't read any of the manga. I've read the first few volumes years after their anime adaptation. But do you think the best is yet to come?
I personally do. I think depending on what you're into Attack on Titan for, but I think the story transcends what it already is. The basement was the first opening up of the story,
right?
And what's gonna happen near the beginning of next season is the final transition into what is actually happening.
Oh man.
So yeah, I thought you maybe were reading the manga because I noticed you're such an avid fan. So wow, I'm excited for you to experience some of the stuff that's coming.
Yeah, no, I started with the anime when it started, and I think at the time after the first season ended, I thought surely we won't be waiting 4 years for another season of this colossal hit. That was an accidental pun. And I think at the time, like, I saw the manga and I'm like, looking at the artwork of this compared to how amazing it looks in anime, I might as well just stick with the anime.
It's fair.
Yeah, and I'm just so glad I've done that because, I've read enough of the manga now that I get a sense of how it plays out in comparison to the anime, but just everything about the presentation of these past few seasons have been so phenomenal that getting to experience it completely fresh has made it so much more rewarding. So I'm really glad that I stuck it out and, am experiencing it all for the first time in this form.
Yeah, and Mappa is doing like a great job of going even more in tune to the manga's style. So I think they've done like an excellent job, which it makes sense with what Wit did. There was a lot more room to like flourish the adaptation because of like the 3D maneuver combat and stuff. They're like, oh, we can really like flex for some of these moments, whereas like this season was so much more about just like the atmosphere and the dialogue, and they like really nailed every aspect of it.
Yeah, I think exactly atmosphere. The director I really credit for being able to carry those moments. And the 1 or 2 big action episodes that we did get were still extremely impressive in all the ways that you expect them to be. I will say for the final season part 2, if they don't have another Jujutsu Kaisen on their plate or something, I wouldn't mind a little more of that old Attack on Titan flexing. I'd really love for them to get back Arifumi Imai, who was the fucking god animator throughout all of the previous seasons at WIT. Like, his work is just completely unmatched by this new season. As good as it looks overall, like, I would love to see more of that for the final chunk.
It would be cool to, I would always hope that despite like what happens with studios, there's always so many people just doing like freelance and touch-up work. Like, I would hope there were some people from WIT that, sure, plenty were burned out, but I would hope there's some that want to still be a part of like the final production if they can even get like a small cut.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, most of the animators in the industry are freelance. It's rare that they're employees of a studio. So, yeah, it's definitely feasible. Imai has done a lot of stuff for WIT, but also a lot of stuff for Madhouse, and I think he's probably done some stuff for Mappa. So, yeah, I think if the timing can work out and they make it a priority to, make it more of a Sakuga show like the first few seasons were, that would be, even an extra boon to the final season. Yeah, and I think a lot of the staff, the main staff was pretty much all overhauled, which is kind of surprising for some of it, but some of the animation staff and stuff I think carried over between the seasons.
Can't get rid of Sawano either.
Of course, yeah, and I will say,
part of the DNA.
I think Yamamoto's work, working with him in this season, I think you can tell when it's not Sawano, but it was absolutely no less powerful. Even if it didn't sound like Sawano, it sounded like Attack on Titan, and it just, contributed so much to that atmosphere and that intensity, and yeah, it just was absolutely gripping. So great music still.
Yeah.
Fuck, I love that show.
Yeah, good luck not getting spoiled.
Hey, I've been doing it for 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in you if you've held on that long.
I still don't know the ending of Lost.
Yeah, I don't think the showrunners do either. So
it's like Higurashi.
Yeah,
sounds about right.
Just as a transition point, if we wanted to, I know we voiced our worries for the splitting staff between like Attack on Titan and Jujutsu Kaisen, but I think they really did a good job of like putting their eggs in the right basket, whereas like Jujutsu Kaisen was a show that needed way more like kinetic energy and animation and focus, whereas like Attack on Titan, like we said, was more about the atmosphere. So I think they, as much as like it would have been cool to get a lot more crazy animation going on in final season, I'm glad that Jujutsu Kaisen got to flex as hard as it did, because now it's huge.
Definitely.
It blew up real fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good balance. I was kind of surprised, going in like, oh, they're going to take all the good animators away and we won't get any of those big action sequences. But like you said, there was only like a couple of episodes in Attack on Titan that would have warranted that, and the rest was a lot of dialogue and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely putting all of the A-team on making Jujutsu Kaisen look phenomenal and dynamic was a great move. And yeah, now I love that show too. So good.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start... I decided with that and Dr. Stone, now that they're wrapped up, I'm going to try to catch up on them. Shonen Jump app be doing me wonders.
Yeah, I guess I don't do that often. If I start with an anime and I know that it's going to keep getting more material, it's not too often that I catch up on the manga.
Yeah, it kind of depends for me, because there's certain manga that I enjoy just like picking up the occasional physical volume when I feel like it. But some of these like long running shows, I have this like sense of urgency where the show just ended, and if I don't catch up on the manga now, I'll just like forever be behind on it kind of thing. So I don't know. That's just my own thought process on how I do it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people definitely are like, oh, the anime ended, I need to see what happens next. Gotta read the manga, which I totally get, and I've been tempted to. But yeah, I think I usually tend to keep myself in the same medium as long as I know that it's going to keep coming.
Bro. And then Promise Neverland happened.
Yeah, and that was one where, I happened to read every chapter as it came out from when it was first published in Shonen Jump. So going into the first season, I was like, whoa, I'm really excited this is finally getting an anime adaptation. And I was like, whoa, that was way better than the manga. I can't believe how good it is. I can't wait for more. And then, yeah, that happened.
And then, yeah.
All right.
Any other shows? Anything else we missed?
We're like
Definitely
3 hours
not on
right
my
now,
end.
aren't we?
Yeah, we're
Sure.
Yes, the Baron.
Didn't I tell you that we were going to spend an hour on news and 2 hours on the season?
Yep,
I was
you were
expecting
right.
1 more hour on
You
Prince
did
of
say
Tennis.
3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, there was the Prince of Tennis
That's true.
wild card.
Cain controlled himself.
I knew that we had better things to get to and that nobody actually appreciates that landmark series as much as I do, so...
If it wasn't like
Okay.
200 episodes and I still had like free time, I'd probably check it out.
I'm sure that eventually, if there aren't already, there's like summary movies or some shit.
Okay, well, I guess we can move on to recommendations.
Yes.
If anybody has any.
So, I'll see if I can find any like recent or upcoming releases, but in addition to, of course, recommending that everyone watch Attack on Titan, I will also mention that it is about to be the 10th anniversary of the Steins Gate anime, and I will be writing an article to commemorate that. But I will also be doing what I did with Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is watching each episode on the 10th anniversary of its original airing. And
I'll do that with you.
yeah, I invite everyone else to do the same, especially if you didn't finish it, Kate.
Do I have a deadline for this?
You watch it every week. It's over the next 6 months.
Oh.
Weekly deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all about this.
I might be able to pull that off.
Yeah. Cool. So everyone go do that. Watch Steins Gate. Watch Attack on Titan.
Wait, real quick. Do you like Steins Gate Zero?
It's alright.
Okay. That's fine. That's a good answer. I was not a fan of Steins Gate Zero compared to the first one anyways.
Yeah, I mean, you can't compare it.
Compared to the first
You
one.
you really can't.
Like,
Yeah.
Steins Gate is my second favorite anime of all time, so yeah.
Well, there you go.
Wasn't gonna meet that expectation.
All right. Well, my recommendation, I'm just going to be selfish this month, and I'm going to recommend that people play Lessons in Love, the video game I make, because if I get $200 more per month, which I will do this month, I will have a 6-figure annual salary.
Jesus.
And
God damn
that
it,
sounds
dude.
pretty awesome.
God damn.
Oh.
Where might one procure your video game?
Patreon.com/lessonsinlove. There is a public download available for free, and then a Patreon download for $5 that has roughly 2 to 3 hours extra content than the public one.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Could you repeat that, please?
Which part?
The 6 figures part.
The figures
Really,
part?
really
Six-
rub it in.
The 6 figures. Yeah, I'm at combined on Patreon and Subscribestar, $8,200 a month right now. That's
The
gross.
swag
There is still
part.
taxes.
God.
The
But
swag
yeah,
part, the make it rain part. If
the make it rain part. I'm gonna have a 6-figure salary soon. So that's weird.
Ugh.
Yep.
nobody knows what to say.
I absolutely do not know what to say.
Sometimes you just gotta
I am
channel
proud
your
of you and
sadness and
disgusted.
love of cute girls into one entity and make money off of it.
Yeah. I'm proud, sad, and disgusted and jealous.
I think that is pretty much exactly what I said when he first was able to make a living doing it.
I think whenever he brings it up, I always think about, like, where does the money come from the people who are spending the money?
It's interesting. I was looking at my stats the other day, and I have just as many $100 donors as I have $15 donors.
Wow.
Which is a strange stat, and more than half of my $100 donors are programmers. I don't know, what this means for the programming community, but
Sounds like you might need to
that's
shift
an
your
interesting
audience
tidbit.
or your targeting now.
I don't know how I should feel about this.
Yeah, I think that you should give me $100.
Apparently.
DJ, could you DM me some custom art and then I can sell it and get some of that shine?
For $30 a month, you can have one piece of custom art every month.
Just go the NFT route.
Yeah, the
Oh
NFT
no!
route.
Don't give him any ideas. It'll be the next thing that he starts making bank off of.
Oh, God forbid I make more money.
No, I'm bringing you down into this boiling pot of water with the rest of us crabs.
So
Are you still at only 3 sex scenes in the entire game?
It's
a lot more than 3.
Yeah, that seems low. That seems way too low. Actually,
It's definitely a lot more than 3, but it is less than 8% porn now.
I like how
immensely
you
cut back
cherry
on the
pick the
porn.
percentage as the
Yeah,
stat
well, it's
line.
because I want it to be like as little porn but still porn as possible. So I think 5% is a good ratio. That's what I'm trying to get down to.
It's like a little Salt Bay, and it's porn that he's sprinkling
Yeah, just
on top.
like the occasional, you give people too much sex and they're like, oh, sex is boring. So it's got to be like, oh, fun. This is the thing that we're doing.
Enough without curbing
This is
their
an activity
libido.
we're taking part in.
It's okay.
I mean, to be fair, that does not seem to be why people were paying attention to anything you were writing anyway. At least from what I
Not at
gathered.
first, no. It's like I threw the porn in to fucking show people that I can write. Now they're like, fuck, this guy can write. Why are we're trying to come to this game for porn? So it worked.
Get out of here with your character
strategy.
development.
Yeah.
More titties now. Yeah, let's see, more recommendations other than DJ's game. I think everybody should watch, if not buy, Kaiji, which is coming out on Blu-ray.
I like how Cain goes on this huge tirade about Sentai Blu-rays.
I double-checked to make sure I double checked and I saw, if you pre-order it from Right Stuff, it's $60 and you get 52 episodes, so you're paying about $1 an episode. That is less of a sin.
All right.
Because you're not paying $60 for 12 episodes. You're getting 52, which is quite a bit more.
Yeah.
So I double checked because I knew you were going to bring it up.
That first and second season?
It is, yes.
I watched the second season yet.
Yeah, you get Kaiji Ultimate Survivor and then Kaiji Against All Rules, which are the 2 seasons. And just in case anyone was wondering, you do get the clean opening and closing ending.
Thank God. It's the only reason I'm buying it.
All right.
The only,
I'm
only reason to own it. Yeah, it looks like it'll normally retail for $100, which then you're paying $2 an episode, which, depending on your math, I don't know how you feel about that. But I guess if you pre-order it from Right Stuff right now, you'll get it for $60, which is pretty good for the just sheer amount of content, 6 discs, etc., etc. Though I find you get better deals, like in general in anime, on old shit in the first place.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Much lower licensing costs.
Absolutely. Plus, Kaiji has great nose art.
Oh god, everything's so pointy.
So pointy.
So pointy.
Man, it makes Conan look round.
But that's about all I have from looking at the release calendar. Unless you haven't purchased it yet, Kids on the Slope is getting a re-release. I'm assuming it's just the bare bones again. But I didn't know it went out. Did it go out of print, or did they just decide they're going to print more?
It probably went out of print. It's interesting. Unlike Funimation, Sentai does press new discs every time they do a re-release. So you do usually get like minor quality improvements.
Interesting. So I guess if you haven't bought it yet, if you can find a good price on the re-release, Kids on the Slope is great, and it's got a fantastic jazz soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that deserves a rewatch. I love the music in Watanabe.
Yeah, man. Yoko Kanno hasn't done anything in anime since 2014. That's really sad.
Wow, that's a long time.
Jeez. Besides all the wonderful shows we talked about, Monster Hunter Rise. I recommend that game. Go buy it and hunt with me, please. That's my recommendation.
Which system is that on?
That is on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, okay. I do not have one of those.
Dang.
I played Monster Hunter World and then put it down and came back to it 6 months later and could not remember how to fucking play the game at all.
Yeah, that
the
that
controls
game will
in
do it
that
to you.
series, that series are so obtuse. I was like, I picked it up. I'm like, oh Jesus, I don't know how to play this game at all.
They've come a long way from having to the way you had to hold your PSP to play it back in the day. I would not recommend anyone playing the old ones at this point. It's for quality of life reasons. But,
you weren't behind the claw?
Yeah, the claw was not my favorite. My hand's probably a bit different now since playing.
Nobody will be playing the PSP games anymore. Anyway, because Sony is delisting the stores for the PSP, PS Vita, and PS3 in June or July or the summer sometime. So, yay for our digital future!
Hooray! Glad I collect tons of physical media. It feels good and it feels bad.
Stuff.
Any more recommendations, Kate? You have any?
I don't have any new recommendations for anything.
Cool.
Tell me if I should buy a 3D printer.
Yeah, you should.
You should.
Absolutely. It's a great investment.
I am buying a fucking industrial photo printer, a button maker, a sticker maker, and I can use your 3D printer.
Button makers
for $30 a month.
But that's fine.
Buttons
That's a
are
fair fee.
Yeah, the dude makes $9,000 a month. What does he care? What's $30?
$30 is 6 iced coffees.
Oh my god. What? Make your own damn iced coffee. What are you doing?
I want
I go
all
to
of my
Starbucks every
salaries
morning.
from now on to be transferred into iced coffees.
I would fucking love to be paid in iced coffees. I did the math, and I even like before this game, I was spending like $1,500 a year at Starbucks.
What the hell, dude?
It's what I do every morning. Like that's the first thing I do when I wake up. It's right down the street. Fucking
It's
good
a
iced coffee.
pandemic. What are you doing?
They're my friends.
You say it's pandemic? He started the game like right before the pandemic, right?
Yeah, COVID's kind of the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Oh, God.
It's a horrible thing to say, but it's like completely true.
Yeah. I see it.
Someday far in the future, Grandpa, how did you make your fortune? Well, there was a pandemic. And people needed
COVID-19
porn.
and anime titties.
Yeah.
And what a
The
legacy.
DJ Horn story.
I'd fucking talk to 60 Minutes. Let's go.
It's the title of the Oscar-winning biopic, COVID and anime titties. The DJ Horn
See
story.
it now. They call him the Hemingway of his time, his generation.
The Hemingway of hentai.
I would love that fucking title.
Oh, God. All right, any other recommendations from
I
anybody?
think we're probably good.
I think we're good, too. Kestrel, where can you find us?
You can find us wherever you find podcasts. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, Alexa. We have a skill on there, iHeartRadio, on the Fandom Post website, fandompost.com. Yeah, anywhere you find podcasts, subscribe, rate, and review. You can also find us on social media at Fandom Post Radio on Twitter and Facebook. Follow us there, share our stuff, get in touch with us. You can also get in touch with us via email, fandompostradio@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at FullMetalKyoma. As I've mentioned, I have been pouring my soul into Attack on Titan reviews for the past 4 months, so everyone please go read those. And I will be writing a big old 10 years later article on Steins Gate in the next few days as well. Yeah.
Woo.
You can find me on Twitter at DJ No Style. I haven't been very active lately, but I will try to say hi to you if you follow me.
You can find me on Twitter at SonicBug, where I also have not been super active lately, but I posted art today. I haven't done that in forever.
Hey.
So, guest, where can we find you?
Well, you could find me also on Twitter at HellShakeB, Instagram HellShakeBrando as well. I stream on Twitch every week, usually Tuesdays, Thursdays, sometimes Sundays. Also HellShakeBrando on that, and I only post every couple months, but I'm on SoundCloud as well. So, and YouTube. So every once in a while I do something. And also I'll be writing the My Hero Season 5 reviews for Fandom Post, so stick around for some of those, please.
Oh yeah, what's everybody who's writing reviews for the next season writing reviews for?
So far, continuing Moriarty. I might grab some other shows. I'll probably decide that tonight.
I think I'm gonna grab To Your Eternity and obviously Saga, because yes,
Oh, it's coming.
Zombie Girls are back.
Forgot about that.
It's a safe Saga.
I need
I'm
more of the
very
manager.
happy.
Yeah.
I love my Zombie Girls.
I love Saki.
Yes.
I should try to watch some other things too. Spring is another packed season, but we'll be back on our next episode to talk about spring because we're running long.
We sure are.
So thanks for joining us. Tune in next time, and thanks for listening.
See ya.
Ciao.
Bye bye.
Adios.